You remember, Tyler, when I talked about Elon Musk like all those episodes ago and how I don't like him?
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't like him again. You want to know why?
Why?
Is it his baby?
He named his new child. Have you heard of this? I think,
No.
John, you've heard of
But
this.
is it worse?
I
Yeah.
have.
Is that worse? Is it?
It's the worst.
I can't speak.
He could have named him Adolf. I think it would have been
Was
better.
it as bad as like naming your son?
Yes.
What did Kanye West name their kid?
North? Yes.
North.
Yes. So much worth.
Well,
This isn't even a word. This isn't even a word.
Worth.
It's not even a word.
What?
but okay,
It's A space and then this combined. I don't know if it's like a Greek or Roman like numeral.
It's
an
Elven.
A,
It's Elven. Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. Elven AE
This is
put together,
This is translating perfectly into Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings. It's Elven.
and then another space A-12.
but
That's his kid's name.
did you read what they said? It like is pronounced as?
No, I haven't seen that. I couldn't get past that through my rage.
The X, the X stays the same, but the AE thing stands for Ash, and then A-12 is Archangel or Archangel. I'm not sure how you pronounce that.
So
I think it's
A-Ash Archangel?
X-Ash Archangel.
X-Ash Archangel. So that's how you'd say that.
That's what
So it'll
what's his
James here,
partner's
Timmy
name?
here.
Grime, is that right?
Grimes, yeah.
Grimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's here you go. I'll show you. You can like crane your head a little bit.
X-Ash
Archangel.
Which I know that the name came from
Arch-
like some of his own dumb bullshit from Tesla and SpaceX. Like I think
Well-
Archangel might have been like the rocket or something like that. And
Well, I did some more research, and A-12 was like the precursor to SR-12.
Yes.
So it had like no weapons. It was
oh
mainly
no,
just,
SR-12 is a military.
No, that's what
Yeah,
I'm telling you. I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
A-12 was a military.
Right.
plane.
So he named his son after a plane.
Yeah.
And then Elvish and X.
I love it.
People love this man and call him a genius. Can we
Yeah.
just?
I thought
stop
you
and
liked
think
Lord
about
of the
that?
Rings, dude.
I do.
It's Elvish, okay?
But I mean,
Man
But I'm
played a
not
lot
going
of
to
D&D.
name my kid Faramir or something like dumb like that. You know what I mean?
I
Like
would name my kid Faramir, Boromir, Theoden. I would
not
name any of
Faramir.
them.
His dad, Faramir's dad didn't even like him, bro.
No, okay, I'm not gonna get into this. But I don't think it's that easy.
Well, we do have an additional person on this podcast, and I feel like it is kind of nice to do a little soft intro of new people. Nate doesn't believe in that. Nate just says, just throw
Hey, John,
people
how you
in.
doing?
So
That's it.
this is our buddy John, freshly married,
Wow.
moving on with his life. But
Mm-hmm. He's
he
an
had
adult.
some time to stop by and hit up the cast,
Yep.
you know? So,
John, tell us a little about yourself.
yeah, tell us a little about yourself, John.
I wouldn't say moving
Great.
on. You make you make it sound like I'm leaving you guys.
Yeah, you are, dude. You just don't realize.
No,
it,
but
bro.
apparently this guy's a big fan of Lord of the Rings or something.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like,
Now, I don't want to be a
post.
poser, and I'm gonna go get this out of the way. Only read half of the first book, so I'm not. I don't. This is strictly
dude.
movie.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Okay,
read.
good. I'm making sure we all know
read.
that. You know,
Unless we read it on audible.com.
read it on audible.com. And the
Love it.
whole
Read it with your
purpose
ears.
of Audible
Porpoise?
is so you can listen to it.
Yikers.
Yeah.
So what have you guys been up to? What besides figuring out news of Elon Musk? Anything else interesting going on in your guys' life?
Nope.
Nothing. Just sitting around and watching lots of Lord of the Rings.
Yep. I started watching Community too, which I never watched for some reason. That's a really solid show.
Never seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
it's
either.
really funny.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So good conversation.
Yep.
I'm
Great.
at work now because Georgia decided we should open up now.
probably
and,
time. It's time you go back to work. Not me, but it's time you got back to
I
work.
mean, we had a little bit of a story. Did you have to, John? Did you have to go through the Starbucks meeting, the 5-hour meeting?
No, but I went to work yesterday, right? And we have a meeting scheduled for Monday, which is 5 or 6 hours.
You have fun with that. Do you think it's actually going to last 5 or 6 hours? Because luckily mine did not last 5 or 6 hours. But we did talk last week on the podcast about how, or was it this week on the podcast?
No, it was last. Oh, I guess yes.
Technically
it was
earlier
Monday.
this week because
Yes.
we're doing 2 episodes a week now, boys. How it's kind of cultish. No?
Okay, I don't know.
Somebody
I
in my meeting
I
said
haven't been through it yet.
If you have to listen to the, like they have this, like recording, you know, and like videos and stuff you have to listen to. And I kid you not, one of the recordings, somewhere in there, they had a line about how we're going to, you know, obviously try to recreate that third place and do all this stuff. And they go, and we follow the Green Apron.
I love it.
Wow. John is contractually obligated to say he
Hey,
loves the idea.
Don't talk about my contract on here.
There's death in his eyes. I can see it.
Maybe we shouldn't have hit too close to home here about jobs, huh?
But
I hate that third place idea. That's so ridiculous. Okay, work,
you can
home.
John,
Yeah,
on the
let-
podcast, we're going to tear apart your job.
let me your job too. I'm just saying, let me defend it. You may not like the wording, but the idea is fantastic.
I agree. No, I
From
I
a marketing
agree.
perspective, yes.
Not
From
even marketing.
From a
Look, I
idea,
want to go to a
like,
cafe that feels like a nice little quaint place that I can sit down and like, you know.
You'll never get that vibe from a Starbucks. Come on.
I beg to differ.
Yeah, I go to Starbucks to chill sometimes, but my
Starbucks-
point is
no, you can chill there, but Starbucks will always scream corporate chain bullshit.
anything that's a anything that's not a sole, just one place, like
That's
standalone
literally
company,
what
that's
you
what
said,
Nate will
though.
think, though.
That's what you said.
I'm just
You
saying.
said, oh, a quaint little nice mom and pop, coffee shop. No, it's a Starbucks.
Wait, but that's what I'm saying. I like the idea of like a quaint little like cafe, and I can get that sometimes from Starbucks. But I'm just saying that there are times where I feel like it gets the way that they try to push it. Sometimes it's like it just sounds strange.
I like
That's
the
all I'm
idea
saying.
of
That's all
not
I'm
paying
saying.
$5.35 for milk and beans.
Hey man,
You'll
make
do
yourself
it,
a home then.
I'll still do it, yeah.
I'm just saying.
I got you, dude. That's all that matters.
If you made that during peak in the morning, sure, I'll give you that. But at night, when I usually work, it's very much so like a nice, comforting place for people to hang out. And I enjoy a lot of my customers.
Yeah,
Sincerely.
I'm just saying it's a little culty, bro. I don't know. Third place should be like anywhere. It shouldn't like I don't. If you thought of your third place as a bar, I would probably like it a little more. But it's also bad.
Of course you
That's
would.
also bad.
Of course, me and John just look right into each other's eyes. I'm just Nate's opinions on some things are are a little skewed.
I'm just saying.
So, I mean,
But yeah, back to work. So
yeah, back same, back to work.
it's just weird, man. Do you think we're gonna go through another shutdown?
Nah, doubt it. Calling it.
You think that it'll go be like the black? I was going to say the Black Plague. I think in the Spanish flu because there were like two waves. I think the second wave is what
Or killed like
more.
like
It's
took more
40 to
blood.
50
tell.
million people, whatever. Not a big deal.
I mean, you have. Well, I'm just saying, like,
no, I'm just kidding.
it can get bad, but I don't. It's hard to really tell what the way medicine is and the way technology is, like how you get information. It's a lot different. There are a lot of other factors.
All right, so let's say this is
involved.
the disease that sparks the end of the world,
Nice.
and it's going to take people over, maybe even zombify them. What's your plans?
Come to my house. I have it all set up.
Your
I've-
plan is
I've
to come
been-
to your house?
No, I'm saying y'all come to. Hey, you don't have to.
Well,
I'm just saying.
like when we were talking about zombie apocalypse stuff before, every time we always say, "Oh, we're going to go to John's house,"
Do
but
it.
you've moved like twice.
It doesn't matter. Come to my
so
new
I thought it was
place.
because your house was like kind of in the middle of like
It is. I have.
the woods, and we had some plans for the house. But now I'm just starting to think that John preps for the zombie apocalypse.
Not like a soft prep.
Soft prep.
Not like a soft prep.
No,
so
no,
hard
sorry.
Prep.
I was gonna say not like a hard, not like a prep, but like a soft prep.
Can you walk me through your soft
All
prep?
I need, I mean, I do still need a boat as like a last ditch effort to like get in the lake. You know?
We're pretty Oh, and I forgot you live on a lake. I was about to
Yeah.
say we're pretty far from the ocean.
No, I mean, depending on how if they can swim or not, you know, we should be fine out there.
we all know that
How
floods
great
come.
would that be if you were just in a yacht in the middle of that lake, like
That'd
a
be
big
pretty
ass
cool.
houseboat? And it's just so funny because it's so close to shore, but zombies can't swim, so they're just like sitting underneath the water under the boat, just looking up.
We all know that if zombies get in the water, they just turn into drowns.
Oh,
Can they?
Minecraft
Oh, they can
reference.
swim,
Nice.
can't they? Can't
Yeah.
they
And they
swim?
can carry tridents.
But they'll just kind of like bounce
Okay.
at the top of the water, like they can't climb.
That'd be weird if you saw that in real life. They're just. I mean,
They're just kind of shooting straight up over and over again.
So are the people sitting at this table are like am I your pick for zombie apocalypse team, or are we
Like on it or like my whole pick? Because you're not the whole pick.
No. I just want to know if I'm just friends out of obligation to you
no,
guys
no.
because of the podcast, or if I would actually be honored enough
Well, I've
to
been
be on the zombie
banking
apocalypse.
on this friendship making me famous. And I don't really see how you do that in the zombie apocalypse. But at the same time, can't hurt, I guess. I don't know.
I have room for you.
I view you as
You
another.
have room for me. All right,
No,
I see
no.
where my place is.
I
in
said
this
I
friendship.
have a room for you.
Oh,
I have a whole room for you.
Okay, thank you. That's not what I heard, but
You guys
I
are all
appreciate
just
it.
more water and calories I got to maintain every day. You know what I mean? If you're talking about the apocalypse.
Nate always looks
He's
out
not
for
invited.
himself.
Nate's not
Who's
invited.
on your actual team? Who do you want? That's not just water and calories.
Owner's got to be alone.
We're then see Nate running past us.
Yeah, people
dying.
need 200 gallons of water a year. That's a lot. That's a lot to maintain.
Guess who
That's
has
like
a lake?
1,300. You gonna drink lake water?
Oh, I can't purify it.
My boy's gonna bring his Brita on the boat, dude. He's gonna name the boat Brita. How awesome would that be if you had a boat to where like it would filter up through like the bottom of the boat, like you rigged your boat to just filter water as you're chilling in it?
Then
That would sink your
you'd
boat.
have water,
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Because the water, you'd be sucking it in through the bottom of the boat
No,
and
I
then
mean,
just filling your
how
boat.
much? How much?
If you
water
have a
are
little
bringing?
bit, it's
Constant.
fine.
It's constantly
Just
going.
overflowing. Yeah. I'm guessing. Guessing sinking. On
You have a
that.
nice clear fountain in the middle of your
Yeah.
in the middle of your boat, but it's purified.
Well, you really wish you just collect it when you're moving the boat. That way you can just get like a cup out the side because like running water is clean.
Yep. That's what that means.
And Nate drinks.
Don't worry, Nate's the loner. He'll survive. Y'all don't worry about him.
All right, guys. Lord of the Rings. I say we jump right in because I feel like we're gonna have a lot to talk about. Because I don't want to meander here, but I got a lot more notes on this movie than any of the other ones.
I mean, you should.
Should I?
Oh,
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's the
It's the finale.
climax and the resolution. In my opinion, it has like
That's what I'm saying. We have to talk about not only this movie, but then the series as a whole.
yeah.
So, who wants to start?
I'll be honest. I love this stuff, and I've already voiced my
He hates
opinions
it.
in the first two.
He hates
This
it.
is the weakest one, in my opinion.
oh no.
Oh, no!
we're already getting high.
Uh-oh, Johnny boy.
Dude, it's just not. I mean, are you going based off action or what?
No, I mean this has the most action out of all of them, I'd
And-
say.
And I think the most character development. Well, not the most character development, but the way they all resolve themselves.
Who really? I would say if you're talking about character development, I'm trying to think of who really changes over the course of this movie. I would say mostly it's like probably Merry and Pippin, because everyone
Yeah.
else pretty much just like finishes their journey, but they don't really change much.
I mean, Frodo does, but that's due to the One Ring, of course.
Well, he always kind of knew he was gonna.
Spoilers.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm just saying he
For the
changed.
Lord of the
I mean,
always talk
he was
about this,
changing
yeah.
in the second one. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, in fact, actually, Frodo, in a way, kind of failed his job because he totally succumbed to the ring's
no,
power.
that's why
And then
Sam was
Gollum.
with them. That's the whole
well,
reason he was there.
Sam was the unsung hero.
Are we gonna?
That's the real,
Of course.
I just okay. So overall
Okay.
reactions, and then we'll dig in
Yeah,
deep.
okay. So, like I said, I mean, I still like it a lot, and I enjoy myself watching it, but I do think it is the weakest out of the three.
It is my favorite. out of
Wow,
the three.
okay,
I think it's
gotcha.
the best too.
For reasons of what, like what you said, that you think it kind of wraps everybody up
Yeah, I mean, it
in a.
it
kinda
proposes
weird you
the
didn't ask me
climax
what I
and it
thought.
resolves it
What I
in the
thought.
same movie.
Didn't really ask me why I thought it was the weakest, but
Hey Nate, why?
Well, you already explained in
Oh.
the defense of. You kind of already both explained. I'm just trying to get a
Really?
little bit
That's not
deeper.
really.
I'm just getting
Not
a little
really.
bit. All right. Do we want to know the opinion of somebody who's never seen these movies before?
I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, guys. I agree with one of you guys.
Wow.
Who do you guys think I
Who
agree
saw
with?
this coming?
I think you agree with me. Come on.
No, he
you
agrees
got
with-
good taste.
He agrees with
I agree with Nate.
Ooh.
me. You know,
Society.
I had a tight schedule
Yeah, tight
anyways.
schedule, No, you gotta change your mind, John. You gotta. By the time this is over, you gotta get me thinking. You know,
I mean,
what? I was so wrong.
I will try, but you were both very not stubborn, but
Yeah,
you
stubborn's
know
the
when you
good word.
have your opinion, it takes quite a lot to change it.
I would venture to say that I'm more open minded when it comes to this stuff than Nate is.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But this movie had me very back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
There were some moments where I was like super invested and thought it was like some of the stuff that I was watching was like really cool and like paying off a lot of the stuff. And there were other moments that I was just like, or just like I think I rolled my eyes during one part of this movie.
Which one?
I don't remember. But it was
better.
probably something with one of the hobbits because
One of the Hobbits.
yeah, there was four of them.
Wow, bro.
It's like half of the main
Yikes.
squad. But I don't know. I guess we can break it down. I just have so many notes and I don't really know where to start. But I just know that I definitely thought that for me it was the weaker of the three. And we will expand across all the movies after we break down this one.
Sure.
But I would think that I'm gonna put this here. We'll talk later, I guess, more about it. But second one, first one, third one.
My
Two
ranking would
Towers,
go.
Fellowship, Return of the King.
My ranking would go in chronological order: Fellowship, Two Towers, Ring,
Okay.
or Return, King,
John?
Ring, King, Ring.
It's tough.
We We already know.
Return of the King
first,
is number one.
but Two Towers or
I
Fellowship.
would say
tough.
Two Towers of Fellowship are pretty close.
They are. I want to go Two Towers, but the amount of story that was in the the first one's so integral.
Yeah, I just love like everyone getting together in the first one.
Yeah,
It's
and I
a
would say
soft
that I
spot
think part
for
of the
me.
reason I liked the second one more was because I was more invested just because of the first movie. So I think to give it a proper like which one I actually think is better for just story wise and like context wise or like plot and story, I would have to rewatch them again now that I kind of know what's going on and kind of dig it apart more. But I like the idea of giving it an opinion just based on that first watch. Okay, but yeah, so I want to talk like the whole thing in general, like the whole series later, but I want to break down the movie, the Return of the King first.
Sure. Do you want to give a synopsis for it?
I don't want to give a synopsis for it. I already had to like try to. You can give a synopsis for it. I had to kind of break everything down in my own head, and just took so many notes that I can't just encompass it right now after only seeing it once.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe we should let our guest John give a synopsis for the movie.
Yeah, you want to do it, John?
Well,
The Lord of the Rings
how
guy
in
over here.
depth do you want?
Just
I
a
mean,
overview. You know,
Basic
like
of
a
the
paragraph.
storyline of kind of what happens if you want.
it's a lot. I got to look up some notes here myself.
Well, that's fine.
tough.
Basically, we left off from Two Towers. Frodo and Sam were just released from Faramir in what is that? What is that? Is that little outpost outside of Mythos? What is that? The Gondor, the main city of Kings in Gondor. I can never Midas.
Minas Tirith?
Yeah, that's it. I can never remember name places.
Every time you've asked
Yeah,
about a name,
Osgiliath.
I've said it, no problem,
Yeah.
and then you can't. I think
I
I'm
know.
a bigger Lord of the Rings fan than you are already.
I can't say the names.
but Osgiliath.
Yeah.
I even think, without even looking, look this up for me, John. You're my fact checker right now. Minus. That's minus.
Nope.
Yeah,
Or is it
it's a D.
Minis?
Nope.
It's a D because it's like Midas.
Nope.
I know the last word is TRIT. Wow. TIRITH. It's
Oh
Tirith.
no, it's minus. Yeah.
I told you.
No,
Ooh.
it's MINAS.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said US.
No.
I was close.
No, I mean Nate did. He was just wrong.
Yes.
I don't know where your D came from.
I don't know either.
That didn't. So, all right. Anyways, finish your synopsis. Start and finish it, because
Yeah.
And
So
hopefully you went to.
they're leaving and still heading to Mordor. In the first movie, they say like Mordor, like really like Mordor, like every time they refer to it. And then in the second and third one, they're just like, oh yeah, Mordor.
I
Like,
think
they
it
just kinda
depends on.
drop it.
Does it depend on the characters though that say it? Like some of the different
I
races
swear,
say
like,
it differently.
At least all the elves and Gandalf were really like heavily enunciating everything, and then later on they're just like, "Hey, we're going down to Mordor." And they just kind of like
You get really
drop the-
distracted from this.
Yeah. This is hard. It is hard to snap.
The problem is you have two different storylines. You have Frodo and Sam.
Okay, guys. So listen, let me give this synopsis real quick.
and Gollum.
Okay.
From
go
the
for it.
beginning of this series,
Yep.
Frodo is trying to get the ring to Mordor,
No way.
throw it into the fires of Mount Doom.
Yep.
In this movie, he finishes on that quest. The end.
Wow. Nailed it.
I mean, again, it's hard to really encompass everything that's
I guess,
happening because you have the group. You have the group of, like I said, there's kind of two split parties. You have the group of Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, and I guess you have
Gandalf.
Gandalf in there.
as
Merry
well.
and
They're in
Pippin.
Rohan.
And they're in Rohan, and then they go to
Gandalf
Minas Tirith.
and Pippin go to Minas Tirith first. They talk to the guy who's not the proper king. He's like the warden or something. He's got that weird title over Gondor right now.
Yeah.
And they try to convince him he is, I guess, a giant weenie and doesn't want to recognize, the armies of Mordor coming down on him. And so they're kind of like, well, they're screwed. And they basically light the signaling fires on their
The
behalf.
whole thing is about, obviously, you have Aragorn returning to Gondor and taking his rightful place as king, and he kind of has his story arc of coming back there to help lead the armies, and you have the help of that squad who's basically defending Gondor, which is like the last kind of standing So, I mean, there's more civilizations, but they all come there to basically fight for Middle
Because
Earth.
it's right next to Mordor.
Right,
That's really it.
that's where their kind of last stand for Middle Earth is, while they're trying to fend it off, so Frodo can go through the Ring of the Fire. That's the synopsis. Anything else, you're getting into nitty gritties at this point.
That's pretty much.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning. Does anybody else have notes? Or you want me to jump right in?
No, go for it.
Jump right in.
I mean, I know what I want to say about it. Yeah.
So this starts with, they kind of start with the Ents and the tree people or whatever,
Yeah.
showing that they've defeated Saruman
Yeah.
and his army.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, they
It was
basically
kind of
destroyed-
anticlimactic.
Yeah,
to
they
me.
destroyed
do you
Isengard,
mean?
but they never actually show Saruman really after that. He's just kind of, they're like, oh,
And
he's up in there. And
there was
like,
a clip, I think, in the extended cut, because I was watching something on YouTube, and something came up that was a scene from the movie, and it showed Saruman like falling off the tower or something like that, and I was like, this is the extended cut. And that's an issue that we talk about issues with extended cuts, is I think if it's lacking to a certain extent to where it feels like it's anticlimactic or something you've built up isn't super satisfying unless you watch the extended cut. I think the extended cut is fun and can add stuff, and there's nothing wrong with having extended cut, but I think you should make sure that theatrical release satisfies.
They do the same thing they did in Two Towers, where that guy, his name is like Wormtongue, I think, was the guy who had control over the King of Rohan.
I think he killed
Theoden.
Saruman.
No.
No.
Saruman's not dead. That's the whole. That's what I was
That's what
complaining
I
about. They
thought,
don't
but I
kill
remember-
Wormtongue in Two Towers. They say, "No, let him go. We've done enough killing," which is a dumb reason. And then they do it basically again in this movie, where they're like, "Oh, Saruman's up there. Let's go get him." And then
I swear
Gandalf's
that-
like, "No, he has no power anymore." And I was like, "Great, go kill him." Like it's like,
Well-
why just leave him alive?
Well, for the first one, though, supposedly his name is Wormtongue. They wanted him to go back to Saruman, which he did, to let him know that he doesn't have hold over Gondor anymore.
They wanted him to know.
Yeah.
Well, it was
and at the-
Rohan, but
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Rohan. But I mean, it's in the what do you call it? Not city, but territory of Gondor. I think Rohan is.
I thought they were two.
I think they're right outside.
They're two
Really?
different things. I thought. Yeah.
But my point is, I'm almost certain I saw a scene where Wormtongue like throws him off the top of a tower. But again, I haven't seen an extended cut, but I think I saw a random clip, and I could be totally wrong.
No, because Wormtongue's not in Return of the King at all, except in the normal version. I didn't watch the 4.5
But that's what I'm saying. I think I
extended
saw, but regardless, especially if he's not dead, which obviously, according to this version, he's not.
He's not even shown. He's not in Return of the King at all.
His character is not wrapped up, and he was the main physical bad guy. You
Pretty
obviously
much.
had Sauron, who in the Eye of Sauron, who's the main evil bad guy, but Saruman, which why are their names so close together?
It is a little. I've always thought that was strange that they were so close.
Which is interesting.
It's
That
almost
doesn't really matter, but
the
it's
man
like-
version of Sauron.
Yeah, but that's my point. Like, he's kind of his right hand man. He's the physical form that's kind of controlling his armies, and then they just kind of have to hand it off to who I thought was an interesting character, because I like the whole mythical stuff with the Nazguls and stuff. The head Nazgul,
The Witch
Wraith
King,
dude,
yeah.
whatever, Witch King. But like Saruman was like this big god that they built up, and then they showed some of that fight at the end of the movie, which was cool. But the way they picked it up at this one, I just felt like it was kind of like a letdown. Like, because I don't know, that important of a character, I feel like should be wrapped up, and I feel like they didn't properly wrap him up.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know. Here's my thing. The Ents stay there, right, to guard
Yeah.
him. Make sure he stays there.
Forever.
And they regrow the forest basically.
Well,
They're
here's
like,
the thing.
yeah.
Once they defeat the armies of Mordor and like it all comes crumbling down, he's not a threat anymore. And there's only what 4 wizards in the world.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it'd be nice to even
and
like
you got-
see him. Just show him. Just to show that, like, I don't know. It just felt like there's such an opportunity for him to either do something else, like he could still go and take an evil path, or do something like this or this or this.
Yeah,
but like,
at least Gandalf should have talked to him. If not actually end him. They should have had like a conversation where Saruman either is like kind of like, "Oh, you fool, we're all doomed now. You've killed," or something like that. Like,
I'm not saying like kill him. That's not what I'm saying. I know Nate's saying
well,
that. I'm
I
not
kind
saying
of think
that.
that because I mean. You spend all day killing orcs and like all these other lesser creatures, or like the armies of the south, men and shit like that, and then you won't actually kill the guy who's pulling
Exactly.
the strings.
Lesser
It's a
creature.
little-
He's not pulling the strings. He was a puppet for Sauron.
technically, but I mean,
And
come on,
technically, I think the idea is like the honor. I think they kind of, when you do kind of fantasy stuff, especially when all this fantasy is based around like medieval times with castles and knight kind of people and stuff, they kind of have this honor system built in. I feel like where when someone's powerless or like can't fight back, especially once they're not a threat anymore, you don't just kill them to kill them. You kill them if they're attacking you, and that's what they do in the armies in the
always-
war and stuff. But when somebody's like they're powerless and they're not a threat, then you do the honorable thing and you let them live because you let them do what they're doing and live with their mistakes.
That is always like a classic story trope where you don't ever want to show your heroes like killing people in an act of quote unquote
Unarmed.
aggression. Yeah, like you know, they're always kind of on the defensive. They're always defending against stuff or defending for other people or saving. That's the only time that they're really like. If you just show a guy like executing someone, even if he's a really bad guy like Saruman, it always kind of hurts like the heroic side of your heroes. You're always kind of like, that was always cool about the first episode of Game of Thrones. You show Ned Stark, Sean Bean again. The first thing he does in the show and in the book is kill a guy. He just straight up executes him, and it kind of shows you like this isn't the honor system that you're used to, type of a thing. So I mean, I don't know. I guess that's kind of a personal preference thing, but it just makes more sense in my head to just off a bad dude.
Yeah.
You know,
and I understand that. I can understand and get with the not killing the guy and doing all that, but like I just felt like they just kind of like, oh yeah, well he's not a threat. Okay, moving on. I was like, I want more wrap up with this guy. This was really important.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
I feel like that's like with Gandalf, right? When he died, he got sent back because his time wasn't done. He had more
Right.
stuff to do. I think it might be something similar for Saruman. He might have more stuff in the future he needs to be on Earth for.
sure, yeah, it could be. He
'Cause
could
they
just
serve
be
this
sent right
higher
back.
power. Yeah,
But
exactly.
just as Gandalf changed from gray to white, and his kind of personality changed, like he wasn't the
Saruman's
same.
going gray. He
Yeah, I
was white.
noticed he
Saruman
went from
gray.
white to gray.
No, I'm saying Saruman is now going to go from white to gray.
No, he did. In the movie, he
No,
transitioned him.
No, Gandalf
No,
went gray to
Gandalf
white.
went from gray
No,
to white.
I
We're
know.
talking about Saruman.
And Saruman went from white to gray.
He did?
Y'all didn't notice that? Yeah, he changed as a character. That's what I'm saying.
You're
I think-
lying, dude.
No, you can
You're lying,
you can
dude.
fact check it. Yeah,
If
I
that's
think
true,
y'all missed a lot
mind
of
blown.
character development there.
All right, I'm about to
Well,
find
that
out.
must have been in Two Towers, because like I said, he's not in Return of the King.
Maybe it was, but either way, for his character's purposes.
Did he
for
take the
character's
title
purpose.
of the white whatever?
I don't know,
I don't know.
but
Yeah, I mean, just I guess look into that.
so
and
it
see
might
right
it might
quick,
be in the
'cause
Two
that would-
Towers, like you said, but
that would
still.
blow my mind because I'm trying to
Originally, he was the
remember-
chief of wizards and of the White Council. We're talking Saruman,
Yeah,
who is Saruman and the two blue. I'm wondering if because he was the main wizard and then turned evil, maybe yeah, because he looks grayer in this picture.
Well, they say that eventually.
You're
he's
right, bro. Dude, I think he kind of be right though. Like this is a picture of him when he had his staff and was like commanding the armies, and he just looks grayer. I mean, this is more of a fan art kind of thing, but he is grayer than he was in the first one. Than he was in the first one.
He
and
just
then he
hasn't
goes
washed his
white.
cloak, dog.
nah.
The idea of the white wizard is like a shining white wizard, and that's how he was at the beginning of the trilogy, Saruman. And then Gandalf comes back, and he maybe takes the place as the white wizard because maybe like the wizard. Obviously, you kind of have to.
I'm trying to remember when that happened.
The lore, I think it just kind of happens over the movies, and is something that they kind of put in, which would be super clever, and I'd be super down for that. To kind of show that visually, but I think maybe the higher power of wizardry and stuff and all the lore and whoever they kind of, I don't want to say serve, but you know what I mean, kind of
I really
realizes that Saruman he's a bad wizard, so then Gandalf gets a second chance and comes back as the head wizard man, dude.
Yeah,
I'm just speculating here, but
yeah, I'm just trying to remember where that could have happened. But yeah, I guess so.
I mean,
But
maybe that's
it
not
doesn't
right,
really,
but I like the thought of it,
doesn't
so
really
I'm rolling
change
with it.
our initial complaint of not feeling like he.
No, not
wrapped
that
up.
part.
Yeah,
But it's an interesting thing to bring up.
We're just gonna disagree. I mean, I feel like that change does wrap up his arc.
but he changes from white to gray. Let's say, but he doesn't actually change as a character. He still has the same goals and motives and things like that, right? I mean, he's still working for Saruman because he feels like it's the smart move. Basically, he's just a pragmatic guy.
But when Sauron goes down, he could change.
Oh, so you're saying that future, like afterward,
I'm
he
saying
can change
if there
back.
was another movie, like they would never do this, but if there was another one,
But again, I feel like you just have to assume that, and I don't.
Yeah, that's kind of
But
reaching.
this Saruman, was he originally known as the White Wizard?
Yeah.
Saruman.
Saruman was. They call Gandalf the White Wizard in the Two Towers when he comes back, which means Saruman can't be the White Wizard anymore. So I think John's on something. I like it. All right. Anyways, moving on.
H goes, okay.
Sure. Because I'm pretty sure you're talking about you're talking about the Ents calling that. Gandalf the White Wizard, or the White Wizard referring to?
Yeah,
they're
and
referring to Saruman.
No, they're not. They said we're gonna because they drop off Merry and Pippin in Two Towers. He drops them in front of the White Wizard, and like you'll have to answer to the White Wizard, and you're like, oh no, it's Saruman, and then you realize later it's not. It was Gandalf the whole time. They call him the White Wizard. And he's a shining bright white light now, which is kind of like what Saruman was.
Because he's been Gandalf the Grey for a long ass time. I mean, I guess
he's been Gandalf the Grey. They didn't know that because he died and came back as Gandalf the White Wizard.
No, I'm saying
what are you not getting here, Nate?
No, he had just come back. Did he first go to the Ents first?
Guess so.
Well, I mean, the Ents are they've been there for millennia.
They would have known him more as Gandalf the Grey, or if he was something, if he had died previously and come back.
He must have had he had some kind of connection with the Ents first.
That's just weird that they would instantly know. Oh, he came back and now he's white now. Okay, we're the first people to know.
Well, it's just,
he's been back for a day.
I think I'm thinking that as far as the lore of Lord of the Rings goes, there's a white wizard. And when you see a wizard in bright white and they're shiny and white, they're the white wizard. No other wizard has that. Have those like personality traits or whatever, unless the white wizard. So they see the wizard. It's a white wizard. They may have had a contact with him. They might not even know it was Gandalf. They might be like
they know
the White Wizard.
The concept of White Wizard. They don't know if it's Saruman, Gandalf, any of the other guys.
They might not.
There's just a White Wizard, and they're like, okay, that's who we usually
I don't
talk
know,
to.
maybe.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, we're kind of speculating now, and we're definitely not book readers, so
that's true.
But I think that's another issue that I maybe had with this movie and some of the movies where I had issues was I'm wondering if the books were too long to put into a movie, because there were parts of this that seemed to drag on for a little bit, but I wasn't necessarily bored. Like it wasn't like, oh, okay, this is taking too long. But there were other parts that felt like they had to kind of move the story along, and there was stuff like didn't quite make a lot of sense, but it moved the story along. And I'm like, are you doing this because you have to move the story along because it's so long? Should we have split this up even more?
What parts do you think
I'll
are
get
like...
to them. But I'm just overarching why I feel like when a lot of things are happening and I feel like it's not...
I don't know. I don't necessarily think anything felt rushed, certainly. I mean, we're still talking about theatrical release, like, 9 hours
I can tell
stuff.
you one right off the bat, but it's towards the end, and I'm sure we'll get there again.
Yeah,
but
wait.
Okay. I think... what's it? Oh gosh, I totally just forgot what I was gonna say. Phil.
Phil
time. Well, I think.
I was like, there's no Phil here. I'll just keep going. Let's see. So the lady, the princess of
That's it.
Rohan.
Oh, that's not it.
Okay, what were you gonna say?
I
There's
was
one.
gonna say that because you were talking about parts you didn't care about. Parts I don't care about. Anything that has to do with Aragorn and Arwen. For some reason, I am not invested in that relationship.
At least it was developed a little bit. Like they tried to at least develop it, regardless of whether you're super interested in it. Not that it couldn't have been developed better. I'm just saying this lady who was like the princess of Rohan, who was taking a liking to Aragorn, and you could tell liked him. And then at the end, he like shut her down. I was like, thank goodness, because it was kind of weird to me that she seemed really invested right from the start. I was like, you're
That's
really
how medieval
invested
women go, man. They see
I
something
guess.
they're like,
I
that
guess-
guy's
I mean,
a king.
if you saw
I'm down.
Aragorn, would you not do the same thing?
Honestly.
Like
I'm
the
saying I
second that
would.
he was in trouble and they had one small conversation where he was like, you could swing a sword. She's like running over like, is he okay? I'm like, dude, come on. Come on.
Did you
I don't
see
know.
the people of that city? There were not really any catches there. I'm just saying. I looked at all the people walking. And the only good one was what her
All right, John
cousin,
thinks
I think.
Aragorn is
Oh,
a
Carl
spicy
Urban?
man.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's the guy
like-
from Judge Dredd and stuff like that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, and then a big issue I had, which is going to come up as I go through the notes through this movie. I'm getting side eye from John. I don't like it.
I'm just waiting because I feel like a lot of these criticisms are
I
based.
brought up the Arwen stuff.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'll let you finish, I
Because
guess.
I feel like over the course of 3 movies, we've known about this relationship since Fellowship. And basically all it is that she is an elf, he's human. She has to make the choice on whether or not she wants to be an elf and be immortal and make babies with elves, or basically give up her elf, become mortal, live and die with Aragorn. And there's just a lot of like dreamy sequence of like staring longingly and conversations. They all lead to like what we kind of knew was going to happen, like Arwen, she decides to go with Aragorn. Because like, think about if they had just swapped it. How would that have worked as far as story progression goes if Arwen just goes, yeah, I want to live forever. See ya. And she just goes, and that's it.
I mean, she
that
was
would have been a
going
weird.
to.
I think that's the only reason that the princess from Rohan is interested in Aragorn is because it gives the viewer that possible like, oh, maybe Arwen will like decide, oh, I'm gonna actually go with the elves and not be human with you, and so he still has a potential love interest because you know what I mean,
Right. So maybe.
but overall, especially in this movie, because like the first third of it, there's a lot of just like weird remembering, dreamy sequence, half visions, that kind of stuff, and I don't know, it just feels kind of like wasted time to me. I wasn't into it.
I mean, I see the point.
Yeah.
I mean, it also helps forge an alliance. Like,
With the elves, it does
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
help.
the
for the
elves are
story.
fucking off by the end of this movie.
no, but
No,
like,
but
I mean,
he-
when they forged
like,
the sword again,
what-
they
yeah,
needed that connection.
what's her dad's name? Because she kind
His
of
dad,
convinced
Elrond.
him. She's the one who convinced him forge the sword back together, and he went to Aragorn and gave it to him. Probably because he was like, "Look, I tried to keep my daughter away from you. I can't. She loves you. You got to go defend this place." It pushed the story along. So I'll give it that.
They basically gave him access to the
I'm gonna high five both you guys throughout this entire thing because I'm so split.
the ghost men of Gondor, I don't know what they're actually called. That basically gave him kind of power over them.
Yeah, because only the King of Gondor can
Yeah.
command that dead army, the undead army or
Which
whatever.
I'm also not a huge fan of the undead army because I think they kind of hurt the stakes of it because once you have them, you have this giant,
They just can't die.
invulnerable ghost army that just is literally like a giant flood that just goes
Yeah.
through and wipes out everything. It's like, okay, well once they had that, there's nothing to worry about, kind of. You know what I mean? How would they lose?
I know, but that's like the whole point. Is like the whole movie
like,
is
you
called
gotta get him to-
Return of the
to-
King. Like he's
Yeah,
the
it's like-
king, the right king. So he gets,
But it's, I mean,
it's
I get
stepping
it.
into his place of being the king. So
Right, but we're talking about the big climax
Right.
culmination of these three movies, and then if you do something like that where it takes away a lot of the stakes, you're hurting
Well,
that
yeah,
climax.
I would say that like mortal battles because there's more stakes. You don't know who's going to win, who's not. This side is low and dying, and then the other it switches, and the other side has less people, and that it does feel more real because once those come in, it's just over. So
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but at least
And they're
they were able to.
magically, they're just, I guess that's right. He released them after they took back the City of Kings.
But at least you had that back and
so
forth
they're
battle.
not there for that later battle where they actually attack Gondor as the diversion for Frodo.
At least it was still treated as like the final like the final hope. Like if we get them, we're good, but we don't know if we can. And they had to fight. In the meantime, they had to show up in time.
Yeah.
So could it have gone
I'm
a
not
little better?
saying it
Maybe,
totally destroys
but-
it. I'm
Right.
just saying that it does
It
hurt
lessened
it.
the stakes a little bit.
Yeah.
and also it links back up to the whole Elven thing because the only reason he got their support was
Right,
because of the
was
sword.
because of the sword
and he
from-
proved that
yeah.
he was
Dang, so I guess
Gondorian.
you're wrong about that one, huh?
I would say
Oh,
wrong,
no, I'm
but
saying I'm just saying, he could have gotten, he could have, I don't know why Elrond would
couldn't
have been
have.
so against helping him. I mean, because Elrond giving Aragorn the Sword of Gondor, reforging it, doesn't really have anything to do with his relationship with his
Yes,
daughter.
it does.
Yeah, it does.
No,
everyone
okay.
literally goes, "We have no right. Like we are gonna die. We're leaving. We don't care. We don't have any
Elrond
stance
started
here."
the Fellowship. He clearly wants Sauron to be
That's all
to
he
be
wa-
defeated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
but he doesn't care
That's
enough
the
to
one-
help anymore. He goes, "I'm going to send these people, and then I need to get my people to safety. That's it. That's all I'm
it would
concerned
be
about."
it would be unreasonable to expect him to just do something as simple as reforging and giving him the sword.
Because
Why?
the only reason he did it was because that she came to him and convinced him to do
Why?
it.
We know he's
Don't
not
know
a
why, but he's
selfish
stubborn.
guy.
He was stubborn, dude. He was stubborn through a lot of it. He was so
He's only
stubborn
stubborn
against.
about when it comes to his daughter because he's basically saying, "I can have my daughter live forever, or she can die with this dude." Any dad would be like, "Oh, well,
he wanted him
don't
dead, but
let
I
her
don't
die with
I
the
don't,
dude."
I don't think that he actually believed that the good people were going to win. I think he believed that Saruman was going to win, and that he sent these people out to try and to give them some time and to hope that maybe it would happen. But he was never sold on that idea. I don't think that Elrond was ever like, "I'm all in." He was never all in.
Well, he can see the future, so if he knew
He could
gave
see
the sword to-
futures.
when he
Yeah.
saw the
To-
sword of Gondor, he should have seen, "Oh, this works."
I don't think you can just see anything you want to see. This is my thought, and I could be
Well-
wrong because I'm trying to figure out the Lord of the Rings kind of lore and how the elves work. I don't know, but my
He knew
understanding
about
is
the child with.
yeah, but that
Aragorn
was
and
something
Aragorn.
that she also saw. Like, there's moments you can see, but I don't think like that come to him. But I don't think he can just see anything he wants to see. Else I feel like that'd be way too OP, and then he could just be like, "You guys are gonna win, so." You know what I mean? Like, I think you can see moments, but it's not like I can just go, "I want to envision the 2 days from now," and
Well,
then
no.
you can do it.
So I think what he can do is he can see what's going to happen based on what is happening right now. So like before he had forged the sword for Gondor or whatever, and given it to Aragorn, maybe he saw the loss. You know,
So he was running away, and then his daughter was like,
Well,
"Yo, you know you can do this, right?
not running
Reforge
away.
sword." He goes, "Sure, I'll try it." Reforges it, and he goes, "Wow, this is gonna work," and then gives it to him.
he wasn't running away.
This is my
leaving.
point, bro.
No. The elves were already leaving, and they did after Sauron's gone. They're not interested in staying on the. This is the age of man now, the fourth age. So they're not interested in staying around in actual Middle Earth. They always have planned to leave.
Okay.
So I don't know why they didn't just say, "Hey, have the Sword of Gondor. It doesn't really do me any good, and it could help you guys out. I know it can get those ghosts on your side."
Maybe he also didn't.
It's just ridiculous.
Maybe he didn't think of it.
It's ridiculous that he would need the motivation of his daughter in order to actually come up with that
Might
plan.
be
When it
ridiculous,
doesn't
but
cost
that's
him
what
anything
That's
to do.
what moved the story along, and you can't refute that though.
I cannot refute that. It is what happened, but I'm saying that it happening isn't necessary to be related to his daughter. It is in the story, you're right, but it doesn't have to be.
I think it just adds the element of the importance of the relationships in the movie that can push things along. Because that's the point of this whole thing is like,
Yeah, but it's
you
a
have the thing
little-
with Frodo and Sam, their entire relationship is what allows them to actually get to Mordor. Like, they couldn't do it without each other.
I'm not saying that relationships are important and that could be a theme of the movie. That's fine.
So why can't we have this also push that theme?
No, and it technically does, but I'm saying that the
don't see the
cause of
complaint
it.
here.
No, the cause of it is kind of like you don't need that. That conflict is kind of fake. It's understandable that Elrond obviously wouldn't want his daughter to go with Aragorn, but the Elrond making the decision of giving the Sword of Gondor to Aragorn based on his daughter's relationship or not doesn't make any sense. He should have just given that anyway because he has been interested since the beginning in defeating
You could
Sauron.
pick apart so many characters by saying they should have done this anyway. Every character needs different motivation because of who they are.
The difference is he's an incredibly intelligent, immortal elf who can see futures. Come on.
So I mean,
Exactly. You don't know how that seeing of the future works. Neither do I. So I said my assumption based on what I've seen in the movies is they can see parts of the future that come to them, but they can't actively perceive every future possible. That's way too OP.
It's safe to assume that with all that we know about Elrond, this decision seemed like a pretty obvious one to make.
But here's the idea too. Then you think that if he is a character that can do that, then he's just dumb. So then you have a whole nother issue. If you can see that much stuff, then you're just dumb. Also, it just doesn't make for an interesting story if you make a character that can see every possible future, which is why I don't think that's how it was made because it wasn't portrayed like that. You can see possible futures, but you can't just see everything. It makes it way too...
Yeah, I'm not saying that he can definitely see everything. I'm just saying that from what all we know about him... No, hold on. No
loophole.
That's not a loophole. What do you mean?
There's your answer. You're saying, why wouldn't he just know?
Right.
Like you just said, he couldn't see every future.
Okay, hit me, John.
Granted, this is like a bunch of fan theory based on books and everything, but I have an answer. You're not going to like it, Nate.
Okay.
It says, in Tolkien's cosmology, as distinct from some other works of fantasy, foresight does not generally mean unerring clairvoyance into the specific details of future events. Rather, Elrond attains at most a limited and shadowy presage of the future. Indeed, the gift of foresight is fickle, often unreliable, and may appear unexpectedly or take forms.
I mean, that's fine. My whole argument does not require him to have absolute 100% omniscient, knowledge of everything that's going to happen in the future. My point is that he's a smart guy who has a vested interest in having Sauron defeated. Why would he not give the men or Aragorn or anybody the best chance of them defeating that evil? Why?
I think no one ever saw it getting to this point. They thought maybe that Frodo would get to the Mount Doom sooner because no one ever thought that there would be armies around Mount Doom and that they would take so long.
Why would they think that? There have been armies. I mean, they're really these Uruk-hai they've been making.
You
are
have to take
super
people.
quick and easy to make.
I say everyone's human, but obviously they're not. They're elves and all the other things. But everybody has a conscience, right? So everyone has this human-esque conscience. You can't expect everybody in every story you watch to think of everything all the time. It's just not even how we work. Like I can feasibly think that he had so much going on with getting everybody together that either that didn't cross his mind, or he didn't think that he needed that sword. Because why would he need that specific sword?
He already knew that. Because that's why he went and made the decision to go give him the sword. He must have already known it. It's the
he knew where they were at now. There's different future. Here's the point. It's elves can see
any of that.
Elves can see futures. Okay, obviously
this doesn't have anything to do with the argument.
Yes, it does.
Okay,
because his daughter, since the clairvoyance kind of is like he was saying, kind of shadowy, and you can see possible futures. One person could see something that another elf can't see because, like I said, each one might be able to see a different moment. So she might have seen something to be like, you need to reforge this sword. And then it's his daughter. He loves her and he believes in her. And he goes, all right, I'll trust you. I'm going to forge this sword. You're right. And then he explains to her, or she explains to him why it's going to help. And then he's like, okay, I understand that. I see that. I'll do this, and then he does it. Like, I don't understand why the connection between him and his daughter, and the whole connection between him and his daughter is very reliant on her connection with Aragorn. I don't know why that can't be an important, integral thing when I think that it was.
I'm not saying it can't be. I just think that should have kind of already happened. But I get your point, and for the sake of time, we'll
I'm not letting it go. So,
what do you want me to say?
no, that's what I'm saying. We can move on. I'm saying I'm not. If you want to say that makes sense, then I'll consider that a win on my part.
Okay.
I'm trying to do my part. I'm trying to do my part. Yeah, I don't know. I think that again, I'm not saying that their entire relationship, Aragorn and what even is her name?
Arwen.
See, so exactly. I'm not saying that it was the most interesting thing. I'm not saying that it was like there wasn't some wasted time where it's like weird dream sequences that are like, okay. Like, I can understand that. I completely understand part of that for sure. I'm just saying that specific moment, I think that was the integral moment of why they had their relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what I'm getting at.
If anything, it would make a little bit more sense, at least to me, if Elrond was always that aspect of it would make more sense if Elrond was always distant about the. I mean, he's never super involved, but he does start the Fellowship. He is interested in having this happen.
Right.
So it just kind of. I didn't see him as to need this extra motivation to just do this thing and try to make it happen.
I chalk that up to you can't think of everything all at one time, and yeah, sure, that's an important thing, but
yeah, I guess so. It's
I
just
don't know.
When you're talking about like a super old immortal, king of elves, guy entrusted with rings
maybe he
of
should have
power.
been smarter, but that's why he got his daughter.
And I got some more research here. I'm trying because I feel like we missed something in the movie.
Could have. I mean, like I said, I kind of did start tuning out whenever it was an error.
So when Elrond and Gandalf were speaking, Elrond was saying that
in Return of the King,
men are weak and the race is failing. That pretty much they shouldn't be like a race anymore.
Yeah,
When did he say that?
Elrond did kind of like give up on men.
He said
That's why I think he wasn't all in, but he's like, sure, I want to see Saruman dead. This is the best we can do. You guys got it. I'm out. That's how I viewed him.
Yeah,
He wasn't.
he just seemed rather impartial, but he was still. I mean, he was still there and still did start the fellow. At least in the movies, the book stuff I can't talk.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how he progressed, where he was like into it, but it also could have been
daughter, dude. It's the love for Aragorn.
That's not why he started the Fellowship. Was because
no. I'm talking about how
Arwen.
he progressed.
Yeah,
she helped his character progress, regardless. It was done in the best way possible. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
So, okay, what I was gonna say was before all that started.
Yeah, sure.
A big issue I think that I have with this movie is that the time with Frodo, Sam, and Gollum. Because, okay, I understand that Frodo is slowly becoming consumed by the ring because that happens. Mm-hmm. And I guess Baggins, like the Baggins line of people can carry it longer, like they're a little more resilient to it, because a lot of other people seem to just be like immediately like, I want the ring. Like, you had Boromir, who was just around it and basically almost killed for it, because Frodo, you were saying before, like the importance of him is that he can kind of resist it. Well, according to the end, he freaking can't. So my point is, and that's fine, because having somebody completely resistant to it doesn't make it as interesting. Yeah. But I think it's the fact that he can literally have it on him for so long and still be able to resist it more than other people. Because like I said, Boromir was going to kill over it, and he was just near it. Yeah. So he has a bigger resilience to it.
That's true. Even jumping back to the first movie, when Gandalf saw the ring, he wouldn't even pick it up. He knew,
like, I can't touch this. Yeah, I do think that's basically all of Frodo's appeal. And I mean, I guess even going back to Bilbo, because Bilbo had it for a long ass time.
That's what I was saying, because I was like, Bilbo had it for longer, and he was more sane than Frodo was, and Frodo had it for...
You might even make the argument that hobbits in general are better, because, I mean, obviously Smeagol had it for a long ass time. He is old Smeagol. So like, it's, and obviously it did fuck him up.
I do have a question, because at the beginning of this they were showing Smeagol
back when he was a proper hobbit. Yeah,
but even then he was using the terms like we want it and stuff like that, talking like to himself. Is he kind of a messed up in the head guy originally?
Yeah,
I think
honestly,
he kind of was.
Now that you say that,
because I was watching, I was like, oh cool, I want to see, like, because I was under the implication that Gollum was kind of the epitome of what the ring can do to somebody.
Yeah,
that's
a
kind of
good
what I
thing,
got
yeah.
from it. And he kind of created this multiple personality where he was like obsessed with the ring, and then he has his other side, and that's why he talks in the persona of like we.
Right. Yeah.
But he used the term we and us when he was like before he even got his hands on the ring. I mean, maybe just even the sight of the ring, because he was just like created Gollum. But it was interesting. I'm wondering, he just didn't seem like a stable person even in the beginning, which I kind of wish he was more stable to kind of show that it was just the ring, like the ultimate what it could do to somebody. I don't know. I probably
Smeagol
read the
still
book.
looks like Andy Serkis. You know what I mean? He just looks kind of like a crazy motherfucker.
No, but even just the way that he was acting, like he was, I don't know. It was, I don't know. Anyways, what I'm trying to get at is the points that kind of didn't work as well for me was when those three were together and Sam was basically trying to warn Frodo about Gollum, and he just completely ignores Sam. Like, just completely, and trusts Gollum over anything else. And I'm like, I understand the humanity of like in the movie before, I think it was Fellowship actually, where Gandalf was like, some people who die deserve to live, and some people who live deserve to die. You don't judge. I like that. I love that. I even like that he didn't want to kill Gollum right away and all that kind of stuff. I'm down with that, but just to trust him blindly and not. I understand that Sam is so skeptical, and then Frodo can be like, well, we got to kind of try to listen to him and figure it out.
Yeah.
Have a discussion about it. Don't have Sam, like, he doesn't even talk to Sam. He just goes, no, you're wrong. He's right. And with no questions, you're saying Gollum is right and that Sam is wrong, where Sam has been by his side, almost drowned himself in the first movie to follow him and to help his friend do this thing. And then you're trusting somebody that you know has been corrupted by the ring for years, might have a little bit good left in him, but the ratio of good left in Gollum compared to Sam blows my mind that he just goes Gollum. And then later in the movie, I'm sorry, I'm getting really passionate here.
I'm ready to
Later in
break
the
it.
movie, he lets Gollum like convince him that Sam is wrong, so much so to the point he just leaves Sam. That blows my mind because he leaves Sam and he
set him
doesn't even
up.
say, I understand he set
Yeah.
him up, but it was still done in such a way that even if he thinks that Sam is out for the ring, because I think that you should understand that Gollum, he goes, yeah, he's going to want the ring. Be a little suspicious. Just a little bit. I understand that Frodo has the ring on him, so he's like, I can kind of pass that because he goes, well, I got to listen to Gollum because he knows. You know, we've both had the ring, and it's kind of a weird triangle between the ring, Gollum, and Frodo. Anyways, my whole point is, even if he thought that Sam did it, he just goes, how dare you go home? With no food, just sends him home. I'm like, you're a horrible friend, dude.
Well,
when Sam has been there the whole time for
so
you.
So the ring is altering his mind. Obviously, it's making him incredibly paranoid. And Gollum was not only set him up with the bread, but also told him earlier, "Hey, Sam was going to ask you for the ring," and he did. So he fed. So what? So I guess my question is,
Gollum
what
is the
more-
ultimate,
hold
you're
on.
gonna- he's
What
gonna set me up.
more would you have him do?
I just want the act of him to try to talk to Sam, or Sam to try to defend himself better, and then they can still get in a fight, and Frodo can still believe that it is Sam trying to get for the ring. But it happened way too quick. It was way too much like, oh, you're right. See you, Sam. I'm just like, come on. Like it just seemed like it was happening way too fast, and there wasn't enough of an attempt on either side.
Well,
to...
it's kind of a culmination of a bunch of other scenes, not only from this movie, but from Two Towers as well. And they don't really get in with Gollum until the end of Fellowship. But there's been a bunch of scenes of Gollum and Sam butting heads, my word against his,
I know,
that kind
and I
of thing.
get that.
And from Frodo's perspective, Gollum has only ever been a unfortunate case, but helpful. You know,
That's so dumb. That's what's dumb. Is I understand that he can be helpful in an unfortunate
but he's
case.
never actually done anything malicious toward them.
Frodo has the ring.
Yeah.
He knows that it drives you crazy and can make you do crazy things. In the last movie, where was it? The first, it was Two Towers. Before they were with Gollum? No, it was while they. Anyways, regardless, when he basically stands in front of the flying dragon and the wraith or whatever, and Sam's like, what are you doing? He tackles him and saves his life. And then Frodo flips on top and pulls a sword on him and then goes, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And it's like, I am so sorry. He's like, he knows how evil that ring can make you.
Yeah.
The fact that Gollum has had it for that long and is so messed up to just go, he's just an unfortunate case. Bro, you know that ring can mess you up. And just to trust somebody like that, I want to hear from John.
And to say that, I think the part y'all are missing is that when he looks at Gollum, he wants him to be a success story, because if that like if he can't make it back, can Frodo make it back to who he was?
That's true.
I think
Yeah.
he's really looking at Gollum thinking, I have to give this guy the most, like, as many chances as possible because I
That's me.
need to
He
make
doesn't
it
come.
back.
Yeah, I get that, and I will respect that. I do respect that. And again, so I'm not completely against the idea of him betraying Sam because it makes an interesting thing when you betray this guy who's been there for you the whole time. I just don't think it was done very well. It bothered me that he. And again, that's why I'm very curious to see how
Movie's
the
already
books
3 hours
are.
and 20 minutes long.
But that's my point. This is what I'm saying when it comes to rushing stuff. This is what I meant. This is what I was
There's
saying.
so many scenes based on
That's what-
Gollum's, Frodo, and Sam already talking about this
I
exact
think this
thing. I don't know
also-
how much you can add without it not just feeling bloated.
But that's my point. I'm
not-
wondering if they should have split the books into multiple movies, like 2 movies a book. I don't know. I haven't read. I'm just speculating. I'm not sure if that would
Yeah.
help at all. But it just felt like that moment, some of those moments that felt like it should be very important, and just it was just kind of given to us, and I didn't like that.
I think you should watch it multiple times because you get a lot of
I also
subtleties
should watch the
between the
extended
characters.
cut. You know, that each extended cut is almost an hour longer than
No, I
the
know.
original.
Yeah,
That's
I
insane.
never watch them.
That's insane. It was 4.5 hours for Return of the King.
Yeah.
Extended cut.
It's probably just another hour of everyone saying goodbye, because that felt like the longest part of this movie too.
If the-
Such a good scene.
If the extended version has more stuff like that, like between the whole Sam and Frodo and all that, could be complete. Like, could have fixed all those issues, maybe. But again, I don't think you should have to rely on an extended cut to fix your movie.
yeah.
And that's just my opinion.
Let's
It does need to be fixed.
let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some of the good stuff that I know, because there's stuff in here that we all liked, I'm sure.
Oh, I also want to say that I thought that remember how I said the King and Two Towers sucked?
Yeah.
I thought that King sucked.
Yeah, really.
Boy.
This
But what
what's
I
his
like,
name?
and,
Really
and I didn't
sucked.
even say that in a bad way. I said he sucked, which gave him a chance to have a character arc. I like that King. I like the King of Rohan, and I like his character.
Yeah.
I thought at the beginning, and I don't know if you listened to that episode, John, but I was talking about in the Twin Towers.
Yikes.
Oh no!
Yikes.
The Two Towers. How I thought that the King of Rohan was not a very good king, and not in a way like that makes the movie bad, but because he was trying to defend Helm's Deep, and he brought his army there, and he wasn't even listening to the people that helped save him from the influence of the other guy who
Mainly
had him brainwashed.
Aragorn wanted him to send out riders. He said no one's going to help
And
us.
he didn't even listen to them. He's like, we need to do these things to help our chances. Probably goes, no, we're doing it this way because I'm the king. I'm like, okay. And even after, like, I understand, like, first of all, you should try to listen to them, but at least if you're going to make a decision, stick to it. Then he didn't even stick to his own thing, because at the end he's like, we're done, we've lost. And then Aragorn had to convince him, which was a good character development for Aragorn and the king. So it's not that it made the movie bad. I just said he wasn't a good king.
Yeah, but it had that
by
really
this
good
movie,
speech,
he
though.
became a good king, and then he died. Loved his character arc. It was great. It was done very well. But this king just sucks. Whatever the interim
Oh,
king.
the warden.
What? Yeah. What is he doing?
That's
What
another
is
issue I
his
had in
thing?
here. Why he wanted to kill his alive son.
I don't understand him.
Well, I think he was truly. I mean, I hate that scene because I feel like they're trying to portray
That
it as
is a weak
madness,
part of the movie.
like
But it's-
true madness. But I
It
just
doesn't really work. I
the,
don't think.
the problem is in the beginning he wants his son to die, is what it seems like. You know, when he wants him to go back
Yeah,
and take
because
over
he says
Osgiliath.
like, when I return, think of me differently, Father. And he
Yeah.
says that depends on the state of which you return.
As
It's
in, if
pretty-
you're dead, I
I
won't
think.
care.
Well,
Yeah.
I think once Boromir died, I think we don't see a lot of his character before.
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
he's not in it at all.
But we don't know what's in his head because I mean I think he truly went mad when he learned that Boromir died.
I guess so. It just I didn't really buy it
And
all
he
that
said
kind of
things
much.
he
It just
didn't mean.
It just kind of came off as like fake crazy more than like. Especially it's so weird too because especially since they've done a lot of like insanity stuff with the ring and Gollum and all that kind of stuff. It's strange that this one feels really weak.
I will say I felt the same way. I hate to
Yeah.
say it, but it did feel fake, and I'm trying to dig when I
Yeah.
watched it to believe it. But
And you
I
can
agree.
really like the movie, you can think it's overall movie, but that part was weak. Because the other thing is like he said that he was gonna burn his son, and he was like, I'm giving up, I'm going with him and gonna burn himself alive. And I was like, I thought that he was just crazy because I was like, okay, he doesn't know that he's still alive. And then he's like rubbing his son's face as he lays there on the fire, saying like, you know, we're gonna go together or whatever kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear him moaning. You can hear him alive, and he goes.
Yeah.
And then what's his name? I don't know if it was Merry or Pippin or whoever
Pippin.
the stupid hobbits were.
It's Pippin. Yeah.
Run in, and he's like, he's still alive, still yelling that to him, and he's like, you're not gonna take this from me or whatever, and shoos him out. And I was like, at this point, I was like, he knows he's alive. He's just insane.
But
Yeah, I was like, he knows he's alive. He's just insane and is so done. He's like, I'm destroying our lineage. I don't care. I'm over this. And he's crazy. I could get on board with that, sort of, at least. And then when he finds out he's alive, he's like, you're alive? I'm like, dude, you could hear him going, I could hear it. And you were right next to his face. I'm sorry. It was so poorly done.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could say it's a psychotic break, and he finally got out of it. And he was like, oh, crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could have been explained better for
jump
sure.
Jump out the fire then, bro. If you got out of it, get out in the fire.
I think at that point, he was just like, I've made so many mistakes.
I don't know, dude. Fire will probably make you go, you know what? It's not
I think
that
it's also
bad.
a
I
little
can come
too
back
late.
from this.
He poured the oil on himself. He was not getting out of it.
Yeah,
Once he caught, he's done.
I feel like Gandalf should have like a spritz spell. Just like, psst, like
Another
put
thing
stuff out.
from there was another thing that I don't know. I think the parts that like kind of made me roll my eyes and stuff is just there's a bunch of small moments that didn't work for me and just kind of brought it down for me. So like this is just not one that I rolled my eyes, but I was confused when they were showing that king or whatever whoever he was, not the real king.
Yeah.
And he was like feasting on stuff, and he was feasting on white meat, chicken, and he had blood dripping from his mouth.
It was the tomatoes, the grape tomatoes he was eating.
They were way too red. Red tomatoes don't drip ketchup.
Yeah.
Dude,
Like
I'm like, dude, what you're
I'm
eating
telling you,
raw
I
meat,
looked
dude?
at it and it looked like tomatoes.
I wasn't looking.
It
I
was
thought
a
it was weird that they were
juicy
showing
tomato.
the food so much. Wasn't really sure what they were trying to tell me with that. That he's like, I guess, like still living it up while his people are about to die or something
I
like
think that's
that.
exactly what they're doing.
Another
Showing
thing
how
that
delusional he
classic
is.
thing.
So when
yeah.
Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli went into the tunnel or the between the mountains to get the undead army,
yeah.
when they know people shouldn't be in there or people don't survive after going through there, they were like, "Oh, where is he going? He's abandoning us." And I'm like, dude, either sneak out in the middle of the night where no one's watching,
Or just tell everybody.
Him.
Yeah, I
There's
know.
so much stuff like that that just bothers me in this movie.
That's classic movie stuff where just characters
But
don't
there's
talk to each
too
other.
much of it for me in this
when
movie.
Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, they're leaving the Rohan riders.
Yeah.
And
In
they're
front
going
of
to the
everybody.
thing in front of everybody. They just don't say anything, and everyone's like, "They're abandoning us."
Which
and then
you would-
of course
yeah.
Theoden comes in and he goes, "They're doing what they must." And then they say he kind of speaks in very vague terms, but
again, you can even think that Theoden might be lying to us to make us think like to get our hopes up. It just even that like doesn't completely fix it. But what have completely fixed it is if you just tell them like this is why I'm doing this. Like I'm not abandoning you
By an
guys.
extension, you could also just say that, "Oh, you guys are just lying." You're
I mean, yes,
running.
but it would be a little more believable if the actual. I don't know. There was enough stuff like that to me in this movie, mixed with like I was saying, the whole thing with and convenient stuff that like usually I give convenient stuff. I can explain it.
Yeah.
I don't even say a pass. Like if it makes sense, I understand certain conveniences. When Sam went to go chase or to go save Frodo after he got
From the
dragged
spider?
away so the spider like wrapped him up, and then the orcs came in and dragged him away, and there was hundreds of orcs. They just conveniently all killed each other before we got there.
I know, that's kind of funny. I like that.
I'm just
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
I'm like, you guys over one person, you got into a giant fight with each other.
Over a crazy rare elven mithril.
Yeah, I was about to say, if
Sure.
Nate tried to fight me over some mithril stuff,
Yeah,
I would
he'd eat my
push him. I
No,
would
but
fight
it's
him
not
too.
even that. The fact that he tried to stab him, I understand that. Okay, then everybody kill that guy who tried to stab him. But it's like, kill him. He tried to stab me. And then what? They all fight each other?
Orcs aren't very smart.
It looks like they're all drinking too. I mean,
And then I'm like, oh, he
you
just
know,
casually
sober.
walks through the front door. I'm like,
He had to
I don't
fight
know,
three
man.
orcs. He
Huh?
still had
Yeah,
to
he
fight
fought three on the stairway.
I know, and that was really cool. And I'll give him that. But there's three. There were hundreds. Come on.
They're all dead. Remember when you walked in? They're like all.
I
all
know.
corpses.
That's my problem.
It's like in a dumb Pirates of the Caribbean movie where they like start a bar fight out of no reason. You know what I mean, or something like that, just to cause a stupid diversion, and everyone ends up killing each other for no reason. It's that classic thing. Yeah, I mean, I get what you mean.
Yeah, I could have done just as easy with having like a small outpost with 5 people. You know.
Yeah,
like 2 of them killed each other, and you had 3 left.
Yeah, he probably could have just like crept through the window and like just killed one orc or whatever that was like rifting through his things or whatever.
I think
but
this-
when I said I wanted to shift gears into stuff that maybe we liked about the movie, we never did that.
Let's talk about specific things we like after I go through every. I really want.
Every
I'm sorry.
single thing I don't like.
Go for it.
No, I want to go through some of the stuff I liked, like the notes I made. Because if I don't, I'll forget. I'm already like over halfway done. Don't you worry. I'm skipping a couple of them. But this is the last episode of Lord of the Rings. We're wrapping up. If it's a little longer, I'm cool
I
with
wanna
that. I want
cover
to
it,
dig
yeah.
in. I'm
I
excited
will
to like
defend
really
until
talk
I
about
die.
it.
I do. So just real quick, that I do want to kind of just change it up a little bit.
You guys can talk. I'm just saying I want to get through all
No,
these.
we will. I do really enjoy that first siege they do on Minas Tirith, or I can never.
Tirith.
Yeah, where they've got all the
Minas Tirith.
Yeah, I can't
So you
say
say
it.
it's super white.
I'm just gonna say City of Kings, where they've got all the Urukai out, the big ones, and like the big catapults and stuff like that. Like all that stuff, not only is really cool, but it looks really good too. As far as CGI goes, or I'm sure it's miniatures, practical effects, that kind of thing.
What,
little explosions
for the city?
Yeah.
The city was definitely a miniature, and they shot.
did a lot of
because
it.
they did that with Helm's Deep too.
Yeah. Well, it was really the same stuff. They just adjusted it. Where they did a lot of the inside, like inside the walls, it was like the same set. They just adjusted it.
Really, that's crazy actually. Because like totally different, but what's it? So yeah, I definitely loved a lot of that stuff. The one thing though, I thought it was a little strange. The men from the south just kind of appear. I always thought that was like a weird thing that's not really well explained.
The men from the south.
No,
yeah, the guys riding the big elephants and stuff like that.
Oh, like during the battle?
Yeah, they're just kind of like Gandalf has like a throwaway line where he basically says like, and the men from the south, mercenaries by ship, will appear and answer Sauron's call.
I remember when Faramir found Frodo and Sam, they saw them moving their forces.
The men from the south?
Yeah.
No, it's not the fact that they just show up like it's unexpected. I'm saying like I don't know who they are or what their motivation are, but they're a pretty big, important aspect of this
they don't
final.
really explain it.
Well,
they
in the movie.
In the Two Towers, they showed up, or when Frodo and Sam saw the giant Oliphants or whatever, and like, wow, they're never going to believe this. And they did say that they were what's the word I'm looking for? Answering Sauron's call.
Right? Why? Who
I don't
are
know.
they?
I know
that's what
they're-
I'm saying. I don't know anything about them.
I looked it up.
That's something that for me is like I know that Sauron has this kind of almost mindless control over some of these different
I get it
races
over
and stuff.
orcs, but these are just dudes. I mean, if he has like control over them, why not Gondor?
Right. I think it's they're like I think they're more of a primitive and almost weaker kind of race of men or group of men that kind of is showing the. Because they're saying that men are drawn to power,
Right,
kind
but
of
you're
thing.
speculating
I
right
mean,
now.
it's also
You don't
just
know.
a long-term
No, but
alliance.
my thing is that's something that's not as important to me. If it is to you, that's totally fine. Like I'm not like degrading that. It shouldn't be important. But I'm just saying, like to me, why specifically that group is answering their call isn't as big
it's
of
a
a deal
pretty big
because I was
deal.
hearing that there were other groups answering their call anyways. That he was joining his forces and he's evil people like they promise these riches and all this other stuff and they promise power and the idea that I can be on his side and show power or get that power like what's his name Saruman kind of told Gandalf in the beginning of the Fellowship. He's like, he's too powerful. We need to side with him and we can get some of that power. That's kind of the main idea that, okay, I'm assuming that everybody that kind of sides with him, that's what they're going for.
Well, from all we know, I mean, like Saruman was obviously a special case, and that's explained. Totally cool with that. And then Saruman helps create the Urukai, who are basically just these really dumb, weak-minded, beings that you basically just say, hey, you work for me, do this, you love to kill anyway, and they're like,
Yep.
yeah. So that makes sense, but we don't know anything about the men from the South, and they're pretty important as far as like the conflict goes for this. I mean, they're a big part of how it all transpires. So the idea that we have no idea how they have control or what their deal is, it just seems a bit odd to me.
Yeah. I just think that like Sauron's call as far as everybody kind of like saying like, because they don't explain anything like that. Like I understand that. So I understand how that can be frustrating, but I'm just saying like.
Well, they explain it with the Urukai and they explain it with Saruman. They just don't explain it with these guys.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is like the idea of all these, basically the call of join me, have power kind of thing is kind of what I'm, again, yes, assuming. And we made it clear in the Two Towers that group of people have decided to, and maybe they went more deep. I can't remember a lot of that moment in the Two Towers, but maybe they, okay, I'm sorry. They already established that they're siding with Sauron and going to help his armies kind of thing. So when they showed up in this, I already had accepted that.
Fair enough.
And to be fair,
I
you
don't-
might want more explanation. I'm not going to be upset if you want more explanation on that, but that's something that didn't seem as integral to me that I needed that explanation for me. But maybe for you guys. So yeah, I do want to, because some of these notes I do have are good. The war shots were just like, they're awesome, and they catapulted heads.
That was really
pretty dope.
Yeah.
That was like, what did they say? They're like, launch not the prisoners.
It was
whatever.
it was like send them home or something like that. It was something kind of.
I was like, dude, are those humans? And then like I thought they were just like launching dead bodies.
Yeah.
Like, no, they're just severed heads.
Wow. Yeah.
They're just really cool. Like I don't know, just small things that just made it really cool. And they had a shot of when they launched one of their catapults from.
Minas Tirith.
There you go. I was trying to have Nate say it.
Minus turf.
And they followed, like, the camera was on the rock, and then it launched, and they followed it over the battlefield, and like behind it, and just the way they did that shot was really cool. And they had some really cool shots like that, even when like the Nazguls and stuff were like flying in, and they were like picking people up and like throwing them, and you would just most of those shots would follow the Nazgul, and you would just see the people falling. But there was a specific shot where like it followed the people falling and like hitting the sides of the walls and just falling down. I was like, dang, dude. Like, it was just cool. Like, just the way that they were able to show these epic battles on this scale and show the like little minute details, I appreciate.
It's so crazy how they can do that kind of stuff and it looks so good. And then when they do ghosts, they look so bad.
I thought it was good.
Nah, man.
I
thought
some of the ghosts at the beginning, when they first showed up or whatever, I thought it was pretty good for that time. I really did. When they started moving, it was a bigger issue. Like when they started rushing battlefields and stuff.
They just look two-dimensional. That's the problem. They don't have there's the transparency that the way that they do it, to me, just makes them look like I'm looking at paper versions of ghosts. That they're they don't have any three-dimension to
the ghosts were a lot better than some of the other CGI they've done in this movie, because it's been, this movie was done in 2001.
There is some bad, there's some bad looking shots for sure, and throughout the whole thing. I mean, overall, it's still really
They look
good.
better than some of the Gollum shots. Gollum in this movie was pretty good, but some of the earlier ones,
yeah, for some, like when they show the in between Gollum, like not what he truly looks like, I guess, in the events of this movie, but like at some nebulous time before where he's still all weaselly looking, he looked really like off and like very makeup-y and less.
I think it was like all makeup and there was no.
Yeah,
CGI
there was. I was like, ooh,
No.
some of that doesn't look good.
It was a while ago, but I watched when Andy Serkis, he actually put on like the green suit
he
with
did
the points on
mocap
him,
for everything, which is
yeah.
crazy because Andy Serkis, how they did the tracking for a lot of the stuff, considering Andy Serkis is way bigger than Gollum is, and in comparison to all the other characters and stuff like that, it's pretty crazy. I think overall Gollum is like a masterpiece in CGI for the time.
Oh, it
for
definitely
sure.
is. Yeah. There's some shots that he doesn't look fully real, but again, this was very new and it was good for that.
I mean,
time.
jumping to a different movie, just very briefly, even in the new Hobbits, I don't think they did a great job.
They
with
relied too
Gollum.
much on CGI in this. Yeah, they did. They dropped all of the practical stuff by
So
the
I was
time the
happier
Hobbit movies
with-
comes, because they were just basically everything was CGI.
Yeah.
Everything was filmed like how they do basically the Avengers
Yeah,
movies
it's like
and
it was
stuff now.
good, but also again looked a little too CGI,
yeah.
like you said.
Another thing that's really dumb. Now, this isn't a movie thing necessarily, because like I feel like you kind of get this with war shots, but like when there's catapults being launched at you and you just don't move. It's like a bullet. You can see the rock coming at you, but then one of the main guys who's like controlling the orc army or whatever, he does move out of the way, because you see him all move out of the way.
Yeah.
And then he steps aside last minute. But then why didn't they step out of the way earlier? Because like you would just see it, like them get crushed and they wouldn't even try to move. And he goes, "Stay where you are."
Well,
Like,
you're in the middle of a formation. Not only do you have to get yourself and all your buddies and your you have to get everybody in the formation to move out.
I'm doing that. I'm getting out of the way.
Well,
It's
no,
a freaking.
I know.
That's why you're
it's
not
just
an orc, Tyler.
you make a terrible orc guy. They don't give a shit about each other. Like if I need a guy 5 steps over for me to move out of the way, he's gonna be like, I don't care. I'm gonna eat your body
You're
when you're
standing
dead.
kind of shoulder to shoulder, but I've been in crowds where you can all push into the side. It's a giant rock come at you. You got time. Yeah, you got a good 5 seconds to move out of the way when you know it's
I
coming.
don't know. When it's
close to
traveling
where
that
you're
far,
at.
you're probably
You
going to
don't
miss me.
know-
You're like,
yeah,
oh,
when
crap.
it's like at the peak of its arc, you probably don't know if it's gonna.
Yeah, you're
hit
doubting
you
it
or
a
All right,
little
so I'd
bit.
say you got a good 3 seconds, which is enough to be like,
not move everybody in like 150 man phalanx. Like that's not happening.
what did you just say? Phallic?
Phalanx. It's like a
Phalanx.
formation of guys with spears. It's
okay.
like a Greek term.
That is actually where the word phallus came
Also,
from.
That's where
Frodo,
phallus came from.
Frodo sucks.
Whoa.
At not just
Hot
looking
take.
in front of him.
What do you mean?
Like, that's something that made me roll my eyes. When he's in the
spider
spider
stuff?
cave,
Oh.
there were so many times that he would just look back for way too long and then run into webs. I'm like, dude, look in front of you. Like,
Yeah.
I get glancing back, but he's just like, oh, I'm stuck in a web.
How does a spider the size of a car not make any fucking noise?
I don't know. They're pretty quiet.
Yeah.
And to be fair, though, if I had
What do you mean? You have a lot of experience with 2-ton spiders?
no, but I will say, if I was running away from a 2-ton spider, I don't think I'd be looking behind me too. I think I'd be so freaked out. I'd be like, I wouldn't be worried about
I
it.
think, to be honest, I think maybe I started looking for more of those things once. Not just because, like, I'm not trying to tear this movie apart. Like, I enjoyed the second one, and I was able to really just get into it. But it's when, like, little things start happening. When more of them happen, I'm looking. You kind of start looking for them at that point because you've seen them. I don't know. That's just how I felt. Like, there were a bunch of, like, small random points of that. Oh, and then okay, and then he was either Pippin or Mary. Again, I don't know, and I don't care because I don't like these characters.
Mary's the one who's in Star Wars.
Whoa. You mean
They're-
hobbits?
and we talked about this, and I think it's a very bad stance for you, Nate. When
Yikes.
I was saying that you can have characters that are silly and dumb, but there's a line to where they get too stupid that is just annoying, and they got there. And you were saying, well, you gotta
Mary and
have those
Pippin
people.
totally redeemed
No.
themselves in this movie. What do
No,
you mean?
they didn't. They suck, dude.
No, they did redeem
suck,
themselves. What do you mean?
What? They were the couple of like nobody like goof off hobbits
Yeah.
from the Shire, and they become they fight and they're warriors. and
emotionally
they become
mature.
They
brave.
try to redeem themselves, and they do to an
only
extent, but
thing-
it's not full.
Yeah,
Mary
it is.
or Pippin kind of fucks up a little bit with the ball. I don't know what it's called, but with the Saruman's ball
what's the
that
name? About the
Sauron can see through
Palantir.
it. Yeah, he can see through it. Obviously, he gets drawn in by its power or its allure or whatever. It's Sauron's influence, so it's not even really his fault. You know what I mean? He's Sauron is this all-powerful thing. If he's near an object to him, he's gonna get, it happens.
Yeah.
But they go through and they really change from being Fellowship, Merry and Pippin, where they really were just like, because in Fellowship I get it, they're
Yes.
screwing up all
Did
the
they
time.
have a character arc? Yes.
Yeah.
Did they get a little better as far as being
So what did they do in
necessary
this
and
that you didn't
helpful?
like?
Yes. Just as annoying, if not more, and still stupid. More
What
than I
did
think
they-
they should be for
what
a
did-
movie. Yeah.
What did they
for
do
me.
that you didn't like?
I don't know if it was Mary or Pippin, but the one who like pledged his allegiance to the awful king. So Pippin was like,
That's a courageous thing to do. He didn't know anything
Yeah.
about
no,
the
not
king
that.
at the
That
time.
part was cool. I
Okay.
was like, okay, cool. They're starting to redeem themselves. But right when they do that, then they go do something really dumb that just pisses me off. So
Light the fires and the beacons for.
no, that was dope too.
All right.
But you're not letting me say what I'm trying to say. So when he, let me hold on. I gotta try to see.
We'll see. That was pretty cool though, because he saw Boromir die for him. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna
Exactly.
pledge
That,
myself.
he,
That was
like,
dope.
he feels.
And
yeah.
that's the thing is, I wanted them to redeem themselves more, but it just, and again, if
What
it
about the
did
song
for,
Pippin
if
sings?
it did for other people, that was
a
epic.
good song.
That was good.
If it
That was the real
if
actor who
it
did
did
that.
for other people, like if it made people feel like they fully redeemed, good on them. It just didn't do it for me because you had this moment where they were in the middle of a fight and Pippin comes running out to Gandalf. It wasn't when he was like, he's still alive and he's going to kill he's going to kill him or burn him alive. And he's like, oh, come with me. Not that part. There's another part that he came running out and I don't remember what it was for. Oh, yeah, he didn't even give a reason. He just goes, he told us to come fight. He's like, what are you doing? And then orcs rush him, and he just stands there. And then Gandalf has to come save him, and then he finally does stab one of them, which is kind of redeeming, but he's an idiot. He just goes,
Well, I mean,
he told
You
us to
realize he's like a
fight."
3.5 foot tall
And he's never
hobbit
had
who's
to
never
kill
fought
anything.
anything before, or
Yes,
certainly killed anything
but don't
before.
stand there. If you're going to come fight. Don't say, he goes, Gandalf looks at him and goes, what are you doing? And he goes, he told us to come fight. And then an orc rushed him and he goes,
But you can look at his
It just
eyes though.
stands
He
there.
is terrified.
Imagine if everything to you is 12 feet taller and wants to eat you.
Then don't
it's
come
pretty
out.
scary.
Yes,
Well,
I know,
You,
but don't
you
have to.
It's
do
the
it.
dichotomy of character.
I
He
don't
wants to
know.
be brave
It
like
was-
everybody else, but he also, is
And
a
I-
hobbit. If you just was instantly brave and was like, then slicing things around, you'd be like, well,
no,
why is he like
at least
that?
instantly trying to be brave. He comes out and goes, he told
was.
us to fight, and then just stands there like an idiot. He has to get, like, Gandalf, fends him off. There were so many moments like that that just bothered me, bro.
I don't know. I think he's
didn't-
traumatized. You gotta look at his. You need to watch that scene again. And look at his eyes. Like
No,
he
I
is
can
just-
understand that you could be traumatized, but if you're gonna say that I have to come fight, at least come out there and try to swing a sword. Granted, he did. He stabbed somebody, but it.
I don't really get what your complaint is. To
I
be
don't
honest.
know. I didn't.
I think you just wanted to hate them.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to pick
Yeah,
at
they
you,
were-
but I
They were
really
too annoying to me, bro. They were just too
I think the
annoying.
first-
Especially not Mary. Pippin's a little bit worse, but Mary is pretty competent.
yeah, that's because he had
from After Fellowship.
oh, what's her name?
Yeah,
the
with
king's
her-
niece.
yeah.
He had her to grow with in the character.
So-
Again, he only my point is he only stabbed the dude because he saw that Gandalf was trying to like fight him, and then he finally had an opening, and so he took the opportunity. So I'll give him that. But just to come out and just be like,
Then later on, who's the first two after
75%
Aragorn?
of this 75% of this movie and the rest of both movies,
Fake statistic.
in my opinion, they were a waste of space for most of it. Except
Yes.
for the part where they were able to convince the Ents to go do that. That was good. They
Pretty
can be,
big deal.
They can
All
be
of
better.
Isengard
And they're
wiped out.
tiny.
No, that is a good
Waste
that is a
of
big deal.
space.
But my point is through we'll just say through 75% of all movies, they were just dumb for the sake of being dumb. And even Gandalf was like, "You're the dumb." Like he said something where he was like, "You're like the dumbest hobbit. Like you're dumb." Like the whatever. And I don't know.
I'll agree with you on
It didn't
Fellowship,
work for me,
but
bro.
In Two Towers, they do a very important thing, and then in Return of the King, then they're basically
Do your
mostly
important
positive.
thing and then get out of here. Stop being an idiot.
I don't know. I think they fully redeemed themselves from the end. Like I said, in the first one, they're basically the Jar Jar Binks of the movie.
Don't get me started.
So you agree with that?
But
No, Jar Jar Binks, yes, but not. No,
You got yeah.
But
I love Mary Poppins.
Two Towers and Return of the King, I'm totally on their side. I'm totally for Merry and Pippin. Love
I
those
agree.
guys. You know what's funny about Pippin? The only reason he got that song was because he went with one of the co-writers while they were shooting Return of the King, and they went to a karaoke bar, and what the co-writer heard the guy who plays Pippin singing, and he was like, "Oh shit, you can sing. You want to do a song on?"
It really adds a
Thing?
lot too.
Yeah,
to the
it's
scene.
really great because it's like right before the battle. Basically, it like sings into.
That was
Yeah.
probably the greatest thing that he
while
did.
he's eating too,
Yeah.
so like shows it's great.
Say while
That
he's
was-
eating too.
Yeah, like while not
Oh, the king.
not Pippin,
Okay, I
but
thought
yeah, the
Pippin
king.
was
Sorry.
eating and singing at the same time.
I just
was
found
like,
his
whoa,
name.
I missed
Oh, his
that.
name is Steward Denethor.
Steward. Oh, that's the Denethor.
That's the yeah, he's the
yes.
steward
Okay.
of Gondor.
If anything, I would say that the most important thing they did was talk like throughout the entire series was convince the Ents to go take down Isengard. And I mean, convince. They tricked them into going that way, which was smart of them. But even the stuff that they did in this movie, like they kind of tried towards the end to be more heroic and courageous and stuff, but it just didn't seem to make that much of an impact. And it didn't impact me. Like I want it to impact me. And they just how dumb they
I don't
were.
think they wrote that. The
I
Mary
thi-
Pippin. How do we
well,
get Tyler on board?
Yeah, I
It's-
think-
yeah, you literally just
No,
said you
for
want
the
them
audience.
to feel.
I get
the
it,
audience
I get it.
Have them feel redeemed, and it for me it didn't do enough to do that. It just felt like they were still
Well,
a
it's
little
got to be
too.
within reason, right? If you
And
saw Mary and Pippin like jumping on orc heads, killing a bunch of them, out of you'd be like, okay, well that's
no,
ridiculous.
that's not what I'm.
so
but
what else did you want them to do?
something like they convinced the Ents to go do that. Use their. Well, they don't have any wits because they're dumb. That's my point.
Another big convincing thing.
No,
other
but that's
than
I don't know. But it just
defeating
didn't. I
all of
can't.
Isengard, which
To be
is the
fair,
main-
I don't have an answer to exactly what they should have done.
Sure. It's a
And
little
I don't
bit
think
of
I
an
necessarily
unfair
need to
question.
have an answer for
Yeah.
exactly what they should have done. But it just for me, I'm just being honest. At my first watch, they didn't do enough for me to make me really, really feel for them.
I don't know. I think the whole point is that when you're watching the Hobbits, you're supposed to like think of them the whole time as like this is so outside their element.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be here at all. And the fact that they do anything that's not just immediately die, I props because
Right.
like this tiny human who
This is
has
like, they did some stuff, and I did have small moments where I was like, okay, that's cool. They do feel a little redeemed, and I felt like even when they kind of all bowed to the hobbits at the end, I thought that was kind of cool. But I did have a little bit of this thing going on in my head where I'm like, the two dudes on the end though. I'm gonna do much. I mean, it's kind of cool. I appreciate the respect, and I can see it to a degree. It's not like I'm completely like they shouldn't have bowed to them at all. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. It wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough for me, bud.
the whole Isengard thing is enough, dude. They could have
I
just
agree.
not even done anything else. They could have been a
That's
detriment.
true. You know,
It's just-
yeah, that definitely deserves that.
Because
but
I mean, if that was Modern War, they would have got Medal of Honor.
you're
dude.
right. No, you're right. I'll give you that. That definitely deserves that. But I'm just saying, as far as I don't know, they did that cool thing, and then they just
Maybe you just didn't like that they had so much screen time.
Yeah,
If they had
I
less
don't
screen
want to.
time, maybe
maybe.
you would have been more okay with it.
I don't want
Maybe.
to put words in Tyler's mouth, but I think he just doesn't like little people.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I thought about this for a while, and I'm really starting to be concerned.
Man.
Although no, he loves Sam. Hold on, take it back.
All right,
Take it back. He loves
Okay,
Sam.
well, I was gonna wait till the end to say this.
Yep.
This might be a hot take for. I'm giving lots of hot takes. I
Yeah,
feel
you
like I am not.
I'm getting heated.
I am not as on board as everybody probably wanted me to be, or
With
expected
either
me to be. But this might be the hottest take of them all. Sam is the real hero of the story, not Frodo.
I think that's actually kind of what the end of this movie is trying to say.
I hope so.
Because he's the last shot of everything,
Yeah.
is Sam and his family.
I think Sam is 100% of a better character than Frodo is.
Whoa, 100% of a better character.
Yes.
That's interesting, though, because
Sam's flat.
doesn't really change.
That is.
Sam is devoted to Frodo from the very beginning, and he ends devoted to Frodo. He has to overcome, obstacles, including Frodo himself, because of the obstacle of the ring. But, he's pretty much the same guy. I mean, I don't know how much I could say Frodo changes, but he has more of he really has. Frodo has to deal, and this movie is really trying to show it. It's a very hard idea to conceptualize. I think the idea that this ring is affecting your mental. Capacity, almost like your ability to reason, but he is dealing with that burden for all three movies, and it's a lot to handle. And so that I think even though Frodo fucks up,
You said Photo.
Frodo fucks up. Jesus,
Photo finish.
Frodo fucks up.
Don't say it, Tyler.
But when you consider all that he has to deal with, well, Sam is just going with him. Sam goes through a lot, but he is just going with him. I like Sam a lot. Mr. Frodo. But I don't know if you can say that Sam is a way better character than Frodo.
To be fair, he was a lot more interesting to watch. Frodo, to me...
That's interesting because Sam is basically, like you said, he does the
He
exact
does
same
nothing.
thing.
He does less than everyone
The
else.
whole
that
time
you're
he's just
talking about.
Please, Mr. Frodo.
I'm about to walk out on
I'm
you
just
guys.
saying, I have,
Please,
the,
Mr.
I have the
Frodo.
same
Frodo
feeling
would've-
about Sam that
Frodo
you do
would've-
about Merry and Pippin. I'm like, man, get this guy out of here. He's whining too much for me. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, he saved it. Well, I mean, in the end, the fact that Gollum is there is
All you
what
see
saves
Frodo
the
do over and over throughout this movie, which I understand. The ring is taking a mental toll on him. So I can't just say, okay. It wasn't as interesting to watch Frodo. That doesn't necessarily mean he's not a... That's not what necessarily makes him a bad character, I guess, is the fact that he does the same thing throughout the movie. Because I feel like Frodo does the same stuff throughout the whole movie, too. Because this is... I don't even know where to start. Frodo basically, especially through most of Two Towers and Return of the King, is just kind of this half eye open, drunk looking, stumbling along dude because he's getting weak and the ring is taking all this stuff out of him. And it is very valiant of him to continue to take that burden and take it upon himself, from going to this nobody in the Shire to this hero of having to take that burden on and go bring it to the fire. But it got to the point where I was like, all right, I get it, because it just felt like I was watching the same thing over and over and over, where he's like,
I think you should remember over the course
So
of three
Sam
movies,
made that so much more interesting to me.
over the course of three movies, Frodo is the leader, and he's the one who has to make all the tough calls. He makes the choice to take the ring in the first place, take it all the way to Mordor. He's the one who decides to leave the overall safety of the group and go to Mordor solo. He's the one who has to make the decision about Gollum with Faramir. I mean, all the big calls are on Frodo's back. And he's having to do with all this other stuff. All Sam does is follow and try to be a good friend, which is great, but he's
I think
not
Sam's
the
a more
same.
valiant character. Sam literally almost killed himself
That's so-
in the end of the
but
first
this-
movie by
here's the thing.
almost drowning himself to get to Frodo, to be there for him.
Sam had the ring in his hands for 15 minutes, and he had a hard time giving it up.
When?
Sam.
What?
When,
Yeah,
he
when-
took it off of him when the spider curled him up. He didn't know if
That
he's
is
dead or
not
alive.
what I got from that at all.
What do you mean? There's that whole thing where
He was
he's like, here you...
he was trying to give it, and then
Here-
what
here
I
you-
got from that was Frodo looked at him, and I thought that Sam was trying to be a nice friend by maybe I should carry this burden the rest of the way, because when he was trying to get back, he's like, give me the ring, Sam, and he looked messed up. Frodo looked messed up when he was telling him to give him the ring back, and he's like, should I give it back to you, dude? Like, maybe you need some help, bro. Like, I can help you. He offered to help carry it for him, not because Gollum tried to convince him that he was going to take it from him because he wants it. Whereas Sam was like, I want to help you with this burden because he sees it. Like, he does all this stuff out of the power of like friendship and being there to help his friend complete his task.
He's his gardener. Come on, friends.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the whole movie calls him Master Frodo.
Yeah, because Frodo's like 20 years older than Sam. What's it? Sam had the same look on his face that Boromir did.
Yep.
No, I didn't
Yeah,
get that
he
at
did.
all.
Yeah.
I didn't get that
In fact,
at all.
anytime someone else has in contact with the ring, they all have the same look on their face.
I didn't
It's
get
like,
that at all.
Whoa.
He was about
Maybe
to-
I'm wrong. I'm not saying that I'm right there, but that's just not even what I got. That's not what I got from my first watch. Frodo, for me, it seemed like he was
Froyo.
like, give me the ring. Froyo. I'll call him Froyo. He's as good as a piece of frozen yogurt, you know?
Well, I like frozen yogurt. I think
in
most
mind,
people do.
But you wouldn't eat
Yeah.
Frodo, would you?
I
Elijah
don't know, when
would.
he had his shirt off, you know.
Stop it. I just think that...
Good piece of man flesh.
So I think that I would beg to differ that Sam does have some changing because yes, he's very dedicated and he's dedicated kind of no matter what, but he gets pushed to his limits for what is he willing to do for his friend and for the well-being of getting that ring there, because even when Frodo doesn't want to do it, he's like, well, we have to get this ring there. He did take that upon himself even when his friend was like, I can't do this anymore. He's like, I'll carry you, basically.
He's always pushed to his limits from the beginning. His limits just exceed themselves.
Yes, but they keep going, which makes it more like he slayed this whatever this giant spider was, and that was such an epic scene where he didn't have to come back for his friend, but he's like, you know what, I'm doing this, and I'm doing this for him. He had the most emotional connection for me, and I
Frodo
like
had
that out of characters.
All the same, had to push all the same limits and carry the burden and didn't hesitate. When Sam and Frodo are leaving the Shire and Sam goes, this is the farthest I've ever been from home, did Frodo go, no, we're going? There was never a point where he stopped.
So
and said,
you could
"We're
say
done."
that Sam changed more than Frodo then? You
No,
said that Sam didn't change. If anything, Sam broke out of his comfort zone more because Frodo from the beginning said, well, I'm going to do this no matter what. They both had this idea of they're going to do this no matter what. Frodo, for the reason that he was destined to, and he made those hard decisions. I understand that. Sam did it because out of this power of friendship, and then he slowly realized this has to be done.
I also
and he
think
helped him
Frodo
with
kind of
that.
wanted to be like Bilbo a little bit. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Following.
And I appreciate that. That does help with some of the character development. But I found Sam so much more interesting to watch than Frodo.
I think the only real difference is that Sam voices everything he's feeling all the time.
Yep.
Every time something happens, he's like, "This is how Sam feels about it." And Frodo is much more of like,
you see him work through his
he's
emotions,
a little
which
older,
helps.
a little more stoic, surprisingly.
No,
and
but he's also consumed by this ring to where he can't really do anything else. And it got to the point where that aspect of it kind of bored me. Just because you see him
it does
trying
happen
to...
a lot, and Frodo is constantly just rolling his eyes in the back of his head. I've talked about that before.
What do you think, dude? Frodo or Sam? I need John's opinion.
Oh,
You've been
Frodo.
quiet for a minute.
Frodo.
What?
It's the thing is,
I like Sam.
Yeah, he's good, but he's very whiny.
A little bit, yeah. It's Frodo.
And the whole
Emotions
like,
on his...
and the whole like,
Yeah.
there's no way he's doing this just for friendship.
And if you're
There's no
comparing
way.
it,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he wanted a little bit. I guess he married curly head lady
I
at the
honestly,
end.
I honestly thought it was a love interest at first. I was like, man, he's calling Frodo because he loves this dude.
They do have like, it's so funny because I guess
He
it's
kissed
like
him on the head way too long at the end.
I'm just saying, that's what I thought when I first saw this movie how many years ago.
Frodo kissed Sam on the head, and I was like, it's still going. He's still kissing him, dude.
I think he probably would have
Dude, I
tried
think we
to.
need to do that. Anytime one of us moves away, we got to kiss each other on the head.
no thanks.
I'll kiss John.
That's fine.
John will kiss me. You can do
You're
whatever
darn
you
right.
want.
Wow, all new stuff's coming out here.
This
Yes,
ain't
dude.
new. Oh, you said. Oh, never mind. Oh, on the forehead.
Yeah, I still rest my case that Sam was a more interesting character, and you saw him get pushed to his limits. In my opinion, more than Frodo.
They all had to go through the same stuff except Frodo went through more.
Yeah, I agree.
That's not true.
How?
Because Frodo got captured and wound up in captured
You're
by
right.
a spider, then got captured by orcs. I'm just talking about this movie
Yeah.
specifically.
That must have been
spider
easy
and
for
orcs.
him.
He had to kill a spider and then rescue him from orcs. How many orcs
3.
did Frodo kill? Less than Sam.
if you in this movie, I can't speak on Two Towers and Fellowship because I can't remember. I can't
You got
remember
a
Frodo
few.
killing
What
a
I
lot
can
of-
remember, Sam definitely killed more.
Sam killed
That
like
does not
one.
make you a better character.
Sam
No,
killed one.
I'm giving you
You're
a
kinda
bunch of
using it as
no.
an
I'm giving you a bunch of different pieces. It's a lot of things combined.
Right.
You said he faced more, and I'm just giving you an example. Of he had to face orcs, this giant spider, doing all this stuff, bringing the ring back to his friend, carrying his friend up a mountain when he basically passed out, bro.
The
Like he's
influence of
he's
most
the unsung hero,
powerful
bro.
manipulator and artifact
if
in
Sam
the,
didn't
in the
eat all
universe.
the rest of that bread, maybe
And
Frodo
guess
would
what?
have
Guess
enough.
what, guys?
energy.
Sam was right. Gollum wasn't to be trusted. Now,
I mean,
again,
yeah.
I already did say I like that Frodo didn't want to kill him originally. Like, I like that dichotomy. I don't think you should be like, oh, I want to kill this dude. And even if you end up being right, but I'm just saying he was right.
I'm just saying, it's just like the thing with Merry and Pippin and Isengard. If you take just the simple fact that Frodo had to withstand the influence of the most powerful manipulator and artifact in the universe for them, that's it. That trumps anything Sam did.
It still wasn't as interesting for me to watch. That's all I'm saying.
It's a hard concept to display on film, I think,
Yeah.
and show how important it is. And that's why there are so many scenes of him rolling his eyes in the back of his head and freaking out and like getting and being paranoid and all this other stuff is because they really were trying to drive home how difficult it is when it's not as easy and cut and dry as saving someone from orcs or fighting or carrying something up a mountain. That all you can physically understand how hard it is. Hold on, you can physically understand how hard it is to carry someone up with a mountain because you've carried heavy stuff uphill before. Like you understand that, but you've never, and none of us ever have, obviously, had a mystical item have a control over our minds.
I will say that's harder, but it's not just the physical stuff that makes it easier. You go, John.
I was gonna say I just got mithril chainmail on my D&D campaign, so I understand
wow,
a little
okay.
bit
You get
about.
it a
Wait,
little
John's
bit?
playing D&D
Yeah,
without us?
Really?
it's just like a family thing. My
with
wife,
your family?
my wife and her siblings.
Wow, this guy's got a wife. We've actually been playing D&D without him, so
Yeah, I was about to say
Makes
y'all
sense.
said it earlier, and I was like, okay, fine, whatever.
How's that mithril feel, dude?
It's good. I mean,
is
I'm
it
already
Lord of the Rings like
it's just-
themed? Oh, okay, it just
D&D
exists in there
5e.
as well. Okay,
Yeah, I just got it from a quest. But yeah.
But again, there's more than just the physical stuff. Like, I mean, you could kind of consider this physical, but like again, he chased after Frodo in a boat,
sounds physical.
and well, Frodo has a physical ring on him.
Oh, come on.
That's not a good
Come on.
comparison. You're wrong. Come on,
The
guy.
physical thing isn't the
You're
hard
right.
part about
That's
it.
what
It's
we
not
thought
like it's
was hard.
heavy.
Is the heaviness of the physical ring on his
I
finger.
will say this is
which
hard.
is not
This
even
is
on his
tough,
finger.
man. I can't-
Heavy ring. I'm just saying there's more than physical when it comes to like even just deciding to go with him. Gandalf was like, you got to follow him. He didn't have to. He's like, yeah, you go with him.
In fact, he
didn't
didn't
have
want him to in the beginning.
Yeah. So why? That's not physical.
Because
he
Frodo
went, like
also had
everything.
it- Frodo
everything he had to
didn't
deal with
have to.
emotionally with him too.
Frodo volunteered. He didn't have to do it.
Another thing that's not
Everything that
physical.
Sam did,
Gollum.
Frodo does. And the biggest thing in the world, the whole point of all three of these movies, Frodo had on his back. You cannot compare the two. I'm sorry. You just Sam's achievements are large. Frodo's are enormous. He is the hero of the whole thing.
This is what I said. Sam was a lot more interesting to watch.
You said Valiant.
You are the outlier.
and you said a better
did say that.
character. You did say Valiant.
I'll stick by it.
Okay, just be wrong.
Yeah, I just think
That's fine.
you're the outlier.
I think there's people that are out there that would like Sam better than Frodo that are with me.
Send Tyler a letter detailing on why he's wrong. If you're
Look, all I'm saying
a
is
rational
regardless
person.
of why, here's the thing, regardless of why Sam couldn't carry the ring, he was willing to carry the ring for the right purposes. Not just to say, I want it for
we
strength.
don't know that.
He offered to pick it up at the end.
Well,
But guess
I know,
what?
but we don't
Guess
know
what?
that it's for the
Frodo-
right reason.
Yeah, we don't
Frodo
know.
also was consumed at the end. So even if Sam would have been consumed, there were multiple times that he offered to take it. So he was willing to take the burden, and he just wasn't allowed to. So not only was he willing to do what Frodo was doing, but he also did other stuff.
Pretty sure he only offered to carry the ring that one time.
I think he did twice, but I could be wrong. Regardless,
The
he
last-
offered to do it.
That's not really. I mean, like I said, just as hard as it is for us to understand what it's like to carry the ring, someone who's never done it before. It sounds like an easy thing. Like, yeah, I'm a strong-willed. I can carry the ring. I'll be fine. Only people like Gandalf really, truly know. Shit, do not touch
Frodo
that.
didn't know either, though. He just did it. And then once he had it, he realized it as it's happening to him. So my point is, Frodo decided to do it before he got it. Yeah, he decided to continue to do it while he had that burden, but Sam was willing to still take that first step. And you can't ask for more than taking the first step until he has the ring to see if he wants to take the more steps.
Frodo probably had a little more insight because of Bilbo.
Right. Do I think that Sam could have done it compared to Frodo? No. I think that's the importance of Frodo is the Baggins, lineage.
That's it right there.
Right.
Boom.
I do. So I think that's important, but I'm just saying that the idea, just because he doesn't have the lineage, I mean, what you think that somebody's character and their how valiant they are just depends on if they were born that way. So,
well, it depends on the universe because in this it definitely does. I mean, the whole reason Aragorn is who he is because who he's from.
I know.
His ancestry is entirely why he is who he is.
And I think that this is a big theme that I don't think you guys would argue with this. The theme of this movie is that you kind of need people in your life to help you get through these tough times and make things possible where it's not going to happen. You needed both of them, and that's apparent. And I think that's good that they showed
I like
that.
Sam.
Yeah. I know.
He's just not Frodo.
I understand that. I'm not saying he is Frodo. I just like Sam a lot better, and I think that Sam was a better character.
I think it's just because he's open and he just talks about how he's feeling and
you can think what you want, but he's just better.
Cringe.
Anyways, so Sam is the real hero of the story, and let's see what else we got here. You guys can keep talking. I got to read over my notes.
Yeah, John, we haven't. You got anything you wanted to bring up as far as about the things you liked?
I mean, the cinematography, of course. The best. I mean, hands down. And I'll jump all the way back to why this is the best movie.
Okay.
It was nominated for 11 awards, and guess how many it won?
11 awards.
All 11.
And it is tied for the most awarded movie in history with Titanic and Ben-Hur.
That is crazy.
It's insane
to think about. Yeah.
It 10 to 12 times doubled its money from box office.
Then Two Towers got nominated for Best Picture. Did this one?
Best Picture. Let me look.
That's the only one that matters.
Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay.
It won Best Picture, Best Director, and Best
Art Direction,
Screenplay.
Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing, Best Makeup, Best Score, Best Original Song.
All right, I want to wrap up specifics, and then we can talk about movie as a whole and the series as a whole. The end, where they all got reunited, was very cringy and super creepy.
I loved it.
Gandalf
he's in the
smiling
bed.
at him, and I'm all like,
Shut up.
it was so I literally I actually physically cringed.
No.
Yes, dude.
Okay,
It
so
was wonderful.
that scene has been memed to hell.
It was creepy and corny to me.
They've
Beyond
been apart
belief.
for so long.
And Frodo's smile at the very end when he goes to Frodo can't smile without it being creepy. That's just I'm sorry, but he smiled when he was getting on the boat and he's like looking at his friends. It was rough, dude. Also, why did Gandalf not die at the end? Because I was under the impression that once he got his life back to fulfill his purpose, that was it. Then he was going to be done. Maybe I just interpreted that wrong.
Maybe he has more of a purpose. Well, also, he's going to the Undying Land, so he's not going to die.
Is that what that is? Where the heck are they going?
Yeah, him,
because I didn't really
Bilbo,
fully.
and
The whole thing is
Frodo.
that the elves are immortal, and that's part of their journey is that they're not
why he's going.
long for the age of elves and everything is kind of over.
But where are they going?
To the Undying Land.
So if they all go there, are they all just immortal?
Well, no, I don't think like Bilbo and Frodo
I'm not
aren't going to live
sure
forever. I'm
about that.
fairly sure. No,
Okay.
Yeah,
I
Gandalf
think
goes
it
with him.
totally has to do with your race because I mean
It probably prolongs it like the ring did for Bilbo for a long time.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know all the specifics. That's a little bit too lore heavy for me.
All right. Well, that's pretty much it. That's most of the notes that I have. Yeah, so this movie had me back and forth. I know I talked a lot about negatives, but there was a lot of cool stuff, like with the battle scenes and some of the valiant stuff where you had like Rohan coming in with all those horses. The battle scenes in this, which was a lot of the movie, though.
What the fuck were those horses when they had Helm's Deep, bro?
What?
Where are all those
There were
Rohan
so
riders?
many. I was like,
There's
why are there so
I was
many?
like, where were
Even
these guys?
there at the camp. The camp didn't look big enough to hold that many people.
I mean, I guess
yeah, it did.
Gandalf comes back with at the end of Two Towers.
Yeah,
with
a lot.
all the Rohan riders. Now it's a lot too. So I guess maybe it's not crazy. It just felt like I was like, man, they shouldn't have had a problem at Helm's Deep. It feels like.
But yeah, so this movie just had me very back and forth. So there were some really epic parts. And a lot of it did have to do with the cinematography and the action. And there were some parts that did do well with character development. I really liked Aragorn's character development. I think he had a very strong development towards it. I mean, it is called The Return of the King, so I guess it's good that is the case.
It says it. He's like,
I know.
Gandalf says, "You cannot deny the return of the king."
They say the
Every
movie
movie-
title in every
Yeah, I was
movie.
like, every movie I was like, oh, he said it.
Yeah. Gandalf is awesome. I love Gandalf. He's definitely one of my favorites.
My favorite
he's
character.
so much better,
Yeah,
and
he's-
his Fellowship is where Gandalf really shines. He's badass in Two Towers and in Return of the King, but he's never quite the same. I like him so much more in Fellowship. That's why I think that really plays a big role in why I like Fellowship more than any of the other ones, because he's a badass in that one for sure. I mean, all the Balrog stuff and stuff like that, but he's also kind of like a lovable goof a little bit too.
When he was the gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was yeah, so I don't know, they had some really cool stuff, like Legolas when he like hopped up on the giant elephant and did all that kind of stuff.
How do we feel about that?
I did.
It's too.
That's when you could really,
superhero,
and you could
isn't
really
it?
see like all the effects not.
Yeah,
I was
binded.
well, he had like I think there were like arrows in the side of the
Yes, that he was climbing up, but there was also a point in which he was just standing fighting some like men, and he's just like standing at like
He
a
was,
45
yeah, I was
degree
about to say-
angle on the back of a moving,
Yeah.
a sprinting elephant, basically.
Yeah, I'm not
Mammoth.
saying that all the CGI was. There was another scene. Remember, he defies gravity, I guess, because remember when he jumped onto that horse
in
and
Two
jumped to a
Towers.
complete other direction.
Yeah, he does
Yeah.
that weird.
He does. There's another when they were jumping out
I like
of
that, though.
out of the boat and all the undead army is coming forth. Remember
Yeah.
they jumped out of the boat? You see Aragorn vault out of the boat like normal. Gimli kind of jumps out like normal. And then if you look at Legolas, he does this weird like jumps like weird float down. And it's like very heavily CGI. I was like, dude, why can't you just jump out? Why you
I
have
think
to add
for
this
every
weird...
scene they had Orlando on like one of those little pulley systems.
Yeah, he's
for
on
every
cables
scene,
being
every
like
scene.
shot around doing backflips for no fucking reason.
And some of the stuff was like when Gandalf I can't remember that guy's name, the bad king of this movie.
The wizard?
Denethor.
Yeah, the bad like stand-in king.
Yeah.
Where he basically just like shut him up and just like hit him with a staff and just like went unconscious. Like stupid
it.
stuff. Like there were some really clever, funny moments like that worked. I'm trying to think of some other really good positives. I mean,
Not enough Gimli in this movie, to be honest.
there's not enough Gimli in any of the movies.
There needs to be, Two Towers has a lot of Gimli.
It does, but I like the fact that I like his humor more than like the dwarf.
The Hobbit.
He is a dwarf. The Hobbit humor. And it worked, but I also want to see him be... I don't know. I want some cool, epic, like, axe-wielding moves from that dude.
Oh, well, if we watch The Hobbit, it's all dwarves
please.
all the whole time.
Let's
You need
do
to
it.
watch it.
Let's do it.
We're doing it next. Yeah.
So... yeah, a lot of this
but
movie
yeah,
I felt like
unfortunately-
it was very action-heavy. And it did shine in cinematography and some of those action shots.
Yeah, Peter
Again,
Jackson's just great in that in general.
What's up?
Peter Jackson's just great at that. That's his thing.
And some of this journey, like, it's not that I was disconnected from the whole thing. Some of this journey where Frodo and Sam were going to, throw the ring in the fire and all that kind of stuff, I was still, connected and interested in what they were doing. And there were times that I did feel invested in the process of how they're doing it overall. There was just like a lot of like nitpick moments. Never mind. I'm not even going to say nitpick moments because for me, it just didn't work. That specific moments just kind of took me out enough to where, like I said, I was just kind of back and forth throughout the whole thing.
yeah.
That's pretty much what I got for this
I don't know.
movie.
I was invested. When they left for the Undying Lands, I cried a little bit. That's how invested I am in this. I was a part of the group. I was a part of the fellowship through all three movies.
John was a fly on the wall.
Darn right.
No, yeah. I mean, there are emotional bits. I kind of get what you mean, though, as far as like some of the goodbye stuff. It's definitely long. I mean, there's still like...
I didn't mind
easily-
it was long. I liked that they wrapped it up and didn't have to feel like they had to rush it and they took their time. I'm cool with it being long.
Yeah.
There's some cringy moments. That's all.
Yeah, I get what you mean to an extent. I don't know why Bilbo gets so old.
I mean, he should have been that old,
I know, but
the
it's
whole
like,
time.
golly,
It looks
dude.
so bad.
I love it.
We're an aged toad in the back of that carriage.
That dude falls like a foot. Everything's breaking. It's all over.
He's like, one last adventure. I'm like, slow your roll, great grandpa. You are 100 in a million,
Wait,
dude. You are done.
Didn't Frodo leave the book, or did they take it with him?
No, he gave it to Sam.
That's right. That's what I thought. I thought he
was
did.
like the last. I left pages. The last ones are for
Yeah.
you.
Still waiting.
Does that mean
Still
we're going to
waiting,
have
guys.
a sequel?
Still waiting for the
Because look, I
sequels.
was drawing some comparisons to Star Wars as to how they were doing these movies. As far as like you do the trilogy and then you have a prequel trilogy. I'm like, well, now we're just waiting for the sequel.
Well, he wrote the Silmarillion, which is I think a sequel to Lord of the Rings, but it's very different, and none of the characters are the same.
I don't want to get into the Hobbit since y'all are going to do that in the future. But after seeing one or two of them, I hope they don't do another sequel after the original Lord of the Rings.
It's kind of funny. I think what made Lord of the Rings really work is that they were in this weird time where they couldn't do everything that they wanted to do exactly how they wanted. Because like now, CGI is getting so close, especially if you throw enough money behind it, that you can do pretty much anything you want. But in 2001, 2, and 3, you couldn't do a whole lot. I mean, honestly, if you compare this to the prequels that came out at the same time, Star Wars prequels, they're pretty much, I mean, it's like 99, 2002, and 2005, I think, are the prequels. So they had more time in between. But, the prequels, for a lot of the CGI, is a little bit better. But The Lord of the Rings kills it in practical effects. And it's because they were kind of forced to do them. Now, I mean, when the Hobbit movies came out, CGI was a lot better, but it wasn't as great as it is now. So they totally went CGI, and it lost a lot of character because of that.
They leaned into it pretty hard.
I mean, you could say the same thing about Star Wars when they were made back in the 70s and early 80s. The fact that they couldn't do anything, they had to do all this stuff. They had to invent all these creative ways to do stuff, and that really elevated it and made it kind of timeless in a way. And so... Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not impossible that they couldn't do something, but I think they really start to move away from what Tolkien wrote and start doing their own stuff, which from what we've seen in the past, I mean, if you compare that to Game of Thrones, where as soon as they got off book as far as what George R.R. Martin wrote and started doing their own thing, right in the shitter, dude.
I heard that this was one of the most well adapted, like not well adapted, but closely adapted to the books.
I'm saying if they did another trilogy, right, like Star Wars, they would have very little to go on.
Oh, okay.
As far as the future, so they'd have to start writing their own shit, which almost never works.
I thought you were saying that they did well at going off book here. I was like, I heard they did pretty good at staying to book.
Hey, do you know if Peter Jackson also directed the Hobbit movies?
I don't. I think he was just a producer on them, but I don't think he actually directed all three of them.
I'm just curious.
Those that definitely had.
Also, something I want to talk about is the length of these movies.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because you have one of the most recent movies that was such a big hit that was very long is Endgame. It was clocked in over 3 hours, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, is it going to be a 3-hour movie?" And they announced that it was, and there was people that were like, making jokes online, like
he did direct all three of them. Actually, sorry, just a quick thing.
But they were saying that, people making jokes online saying like, "Oh, how am I gonna make it through?" and like how you're gonna like bring a bottle to go to the bathroom in or something for 3 hours. Jokes and stuff like that. Basically, concern of it's a 3-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
But you have these
Bring the
movies.
intermission back. I want the intermission.
I agree.
Yeah, I can get more Coke. And I can go piss without moving and missing in the movie. Intermissions are great.
You get more Coke?
Yeah.
So
I get what you mean. I get it.
It's just interesting because these movies are very, very well known as being a very good trilogy that many, many people adore and hold in high regards and have won lots of awards. Yet they are very long. So what's the concern of doing very long movies as long as they're good? Because I don't see a concern in that. Because there's concerns like people saying, oh, like studios to cut this and cut that so it's not that long, and concerns of, not making them 3-hour movies. And it seemed a big risk to make like Avengers Endgame a 3-hour movie. But if you would think that since these movies are, at that point over 10, almost 20 years old, that it would make a precedent for, well, as long as you got a good movie, it'll work.
Difference is source material, I think. Studios have so much more faith because Lord of the Rings, even before it was a movie, even before the animated movie, the books that were written were huge sellers. They did, like the Tolkien family, the surviving family, are worth so much money even outside of the movie.
Yes.
Right. So when you start with that premise, it's so much easier to throw $400 million behind in the producing of these movies than it is if you just go, I have an idea about a superhero who it's got to be 9 hours long.
Right. So if it's a standalone movie or a newish franchise, something like that, I understand that.
Yeah.
But so maybe that's why Endgame got such a long thing, because I would say the same thing with Avengers Endgame. Yeah. They have the source material of course, the comics, but they also have, I wouldn't call it source material, but source material. Yeah. They have the trust of not source material, but they have the trust of the previous movies that a lot of them make $1 billion.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just that risk factor. Even then, I feel like it's a bigger risk to do it based on source material than it is based on previous movies that are connected to it making the money. Because, the movies that are connected to it are making money. They're going to see the next movie.
Plus, it's a little bit strange, but to get really cynical into like the business side of it, I'm sure that when The Lord of the Rings was coming out, studio execs probably were very worried about the runtime of these movies, and there's probably a argument to that they could have probably made more money if they were shorter, because there's probably
movies.
No, not more movies. I mean, sure, that was the whole thing with The Hobbit, because I'm sure that the studio came in and said, nope, we need 3 more, make it 3.
Yeah.
But I'm saying there's probably
I feel like you don't like The Hobbit.
There's probably a statistic of people who were interested in The Lord of the Rings, but not interested enough to see that 3-hour time frame and go, nah, I'm just gonna watch it at home or somewhere. I'm not enough to go to the theaters. There's a statistic. While the people who actually love it they're gonna watch it if it's 90 minutes long or if it's 3-4 hours. They don't care.
Yeah.
So from a business perspective, I can understand why, and also. Theaters, they don't want super long movies because they can show less showings of them.
That's true.
And that's a big part of how you do distribution.
Unless
And that's the
like
reason why
Endgame
intermissions don't have intermissions, because that's wasted 15 minutes every movie.
Unless you do what Endgame did and shut down, basically have every theater in your movie theater show Endgame. Do you remember that?
Even if it is.
That was crazy.
Even if that's true, they can still show less
No,
showings.
I know. I'm just saying that. That's crazy that they did that.
But yeah. So, I mean, unfortunately, movies are a business more than they are an art at the end of the day. I've drank a lot of coffee and not eaten a lot of food. Okay, so a little jittery.
Same.
So, okay, I'm going to give my kind of opinion on just the series as a whole. It's
8 out of
garbage. No, it's. I'm kind of sad. Because I didn't love him as much as I wanted to.
Okay, gotcha.
And I think you kind of got that vibe. I would have been very
you loved
hyped.
Two Towers, but you weren't crazy about Fellowship. Well, you liked it, but you weren't crazy about it. And then Return of the King, you obviously
Is
had
lesser
problems
than the
with.
other two, in my opinion. I don't know. I think that they're overall pretty good movies, but for me, it just didn't do it for me. And there was a lot of moments, like I said, in this and in other movies, but more so in this, which is why it's kind of ranked lower for me, that just either didn't click for me or that just kind of had movie tropes just to have them. Some movie tropes can work. You just have to either not I mean, I'd say not have a lot of them, but that would still, I guess, bring it down as long as it's not done well. They just have to be. A trope is fine if it's done well. You can see something that's done over and over. You have the classic hero's journey. I mean, that's done over and over. You can't really go break that, but I mean, you can, but you know what I'm saying. So it just depends on how it's done, and the way that some of this was done just didn't click for me. And through explaining why in this movie, there's similarities in the other ones, and you can go back and listen to the other episodes as to why. And the thing is, like, I love fantasy style stuff, and it's not just because I don't know. It's weird when I come in, I just say like. My overall thoughts are, it's pretty good. Like, that's how I feel about it. Like, it's nothing special to me. And I wish it could have been because I was so excited to watch them and I've heard so much good things about it. And I love the idea and the style of it because I know the people that probably don't like it are probably people that just don't like fantasy stuff. So I feel like I'm on a very lesser scale and I want to open up and hear from people that agree with my perspective because I feel like there's not a lot out there.
I want no opposition to my viewpoints.
I agree.
No, I want to hear opposition, but I've heard that a lot today. That's what I'm saying. Like, I want to see, like, I feel alone is what I'm saying.
Get ready
Which
for
is fine
more.
if I am, but I'm curious if anything else. I'm just more curious if I am alone. Am I in, like, what percentage? I know it's lower. I know it's a lower percentage of people that just don't love these movies. I think they're pretty good.
I like these movies a lot. I wish I loved them. Like, I wish they were my thing. No, not because of the actual content of them. They're actually way better quality. I'm saying that, like, for example, Star Wars is my, like, childhood bread and butter. Like, for a lot of people, it's the same thing. And so I'll always love it. It's I can't imagine not. But the
new Star Wars movies are bad.
Not even. Star Wars is so tainted. You've got obviously the original, but even if you compare the first 3 with the 3 Lord of the Rings movies, Lord of the Rings, as far as, is probably better made in a lot of aspects, especially when you're comparing like Return of the Jedi and Return of the King. Return of the King is a lot better than Return of the Jedi, even though it's not even my favorite by any means.
And that's why it's hard for me. I think if I watched these as a child, it probably would have been different.
I kind of get that because I don't have a huge childhood attachment to them either, because I watched them when I was pretty young, but I was actually, honestly, I think I was too young because I was kind of scared of a lot of them. Nazgul freaked me the fuck out, bro, when I was a kid.
They still do.
And so for some reason, Gollum didn't freak me out. I figured that would have been what freaked me out. But no, the Nazgul, I was like, ooh, ghosts. But, Star Wars has been so ruined by all of its... the sequels suck. The prequels kind of suck. There's like 18 kids shows that are about, Jar Jar Binks and droids running around being fuckheads. There's so much crap around Star Wars that, I wish I loved Lord of the Rings because it's so pure. I mean, you've got The Hobbit, which isn't great, but it's also not super, super terrible. Yeah. It just does some dumb stuff.
I'm going to laugh when we watch Hobbit, and I like Hobbit better than Lord of the Rings.
If
I
you
will
like
be
Hobbit
so
more than Lord of the Rings, you have just
mad.
objectively bad taste, I think.
I'd be so mad.
People are going to not respect us as critics. They're going to stop listening.
I don't understand. Like, I do think some of the points that I gave here make sense. Like, I feel like objectively, these movies aren't perfect.
No, I'm not
I
saying
feel like
they
objectively, I feel like a lot of people, and I'm curious if that has to do with you guys, and you not so much, but I'm curious if it has to do with you, John. I think a lot of people like these because they grew up with them, and that's why it's interesting for me to watch them from a new perspective at the age I am now.
I don't necessarily know if that's true.
I feel like there's so much stuff that just I didn't think was. That could have been done differently or better to make it just an objectively better movie.
A lot of the people who really love The Lord of the Rings are actually a lot older than us. Like my parents were, and I should say on my mom's side, like that kind of side of the family.
Is it just because it was new when it came out? Like
Well,
they did stuff that was new that they'd never seen before?
Early 30s when this came out. You know what I mean? Like they were not kids. I mean, they knew the books and stuff like that. But to actually like be a fan of like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings books and then go watch the movies and not hate the movies is pretty rare.
Right, does that mean it's objectively good or just it's kind of accurate to the books and it's just because they did something new with the movies and it was exciting because they've never seen that grand epic scale?
That does not prove it's objectively good. You're right, but it does say that there is that people outside of people who grew up with them did like them.
Anyways,
that's my point.
Your opinions, John, on the series?
The whole series. I mean, I love them. I will say I did grow up more on Star Wars, but I love Lord of the Rings way more.
Really?
When did you first get into Lord of the Rings?
I don't remember.
So pretty young then was the first time you saw them and remember liking them, and
maybe. Yeah. Honestly, it's kind of a blur, but it's like a once a year watch for me.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty big.
1 through 3, I can't skip one. You got to watch the whole thing one day. It's just great.
Especially because this is like I was saying. I think our last episode is. I didn't know these movies were going to be one long. Okay, I don't mean that one long story.
Yeah.
They're all one long story, but they usually have a definite conclusion, and it starts up with either a kind of different that might sort of relate issue than the first movie. This is it's one journey, and it just takes a break at a certain point, and then picks up on the same journey. And I didn't know it was going to do that. I thought these movies were going to be separate movies. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's interesting because a lot of the sequel or a lot of series that I see don't really do it that way.
Like they have gaps and time jumps.
Yeah, and then they have another. Usually, it's like they have a different large. Large issue they're trying to resolve in each movie, as opposed to like there are smaller things they're trying to resolve in each movie in this, which still keep it interesting. So I'm not saying that is bad.
It's really
I
just
like
Frodo and Sam that don't have like more episodic adventures.
Yeah.
It's Aragorn and that crew, and then obviously like Gandalf and all the different other little parties. They have their isolated events, you know.
But that's interesting, and I honestly, I kind of want to see a movie that's separate from this in the same universe, like kind of even with the same characters, just out of curiosity. Not like just to do it. I'm just curious to see like what these characters would do in different scenarios. That's not just based around this. Like I want to see more fantasy style stuff that's good, and we just haven't gotten that sense.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of that anymore.
Yeah.
We get a lot
really
of crap
like
fantasy, like Last Witch Hunter or what the Great Wall with Matt Damon for some fuck ass reason, or that didn't they make a Robin Hood reboot with that Taron Egerton kid a little while ago and Jamie Foxx? Like all this just garbage fantasy.
I think it's like you said earlier, like the time was just different. Like with how much we can do now with CGI, why would you want to go back to something like this? Yeah,
you're not going to spend all the time and effort into. Well, it's just you don't have to, and all these creative ways of filming things.
CGI isn't even necessary. CGI isn't bad.
No, I'm not saying
is just it's very more apparent when it is bad. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Is when you have studios that are rushing your dates and stuff, you have to get this something out. The reason something's usually bad is because they don't get to spend as much time on it as they'd hoped to, and they just go, well, this will pass. We have to move on.
All right, jumping randomly here. It is animated. Y'all did a episode on Onward, didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did.
See, I loved that. It was like, fantasy light.
I'm liking
animated.
that movie the more the longer it goes. Like, I want to watch it again.
I loved
that
it.
fantasy universe was so weak.
It was. I
so
agree.
generic.
It was more, leaning towards like the animated, the other story.
Yeah, it just felt like it didn't. Pixar usually does a really good job
With being unique.
of having a unique universe, and Onward it was so not that.
I did feel like I've seen something similar though when I watched Onward, and I think it was like a Percy Jackson thing. Because did you ever watch Percy Jackson and read the
No.
books? So Percy Jackson is obviously like Greek mythology, and it's a regular dude living in a regular world, but there's a bunch of like Greek mythological characters and like stuff like it's all in the real world, and they're kind of hidden. And I kind of got a similar vibe from Onward because it was sure they're all mythical creatures, but they all live a normal life, and they're discovering the magic within the real world. And it kind of felt maybe that's why it didn't feel quite as unique. But towards the end, when they got into the more actual mythical stuff, that's when I really really liked it. So yeah, I kind of want to watch it again because the more that time goes on, I appreciate that movie even more. And I really like the ending of that movie.
The movie had a lot of
It was
heart.
a great ending.
and it does make you feel stuff at the
I
end
cried.
because it felt
I cried.
real.
Did you
and
cry?
it-
Which movie is this?
Onward.
Oh, come on. You know me. You
and
know
I
I cried
cried,
at
bro.
least twice.
I know.
That story's like me and my brother, I swear,
Yes.
dude.
Can you be on our podcast from now on? I need somebody like me, dude.
Yeah, I'll make this time work.
You find somebody like you. No, I'm kidding.
I'm
I know. I'm saying I need an emotional, somebody who's as emotional as me.
I've been better about
Yeah, you
that in
cried
my
the
later
weirdest
years,
stuff, dude.
but like Onward, I felt the heart of it. But at the same time, the humor did not work for me at all in that movie. Like most of that movie, I was kind of bored with.
Some of it didn't, but some of it did.
Yeah,
It depends.
I loved it. I
on
loved the
moments.
movie.
Really?
I was a
Okay.
sucker for it.
Yeah. Like I said, I
have
can
to
get the heart
address
aspect of it.
What was the movie with the emotions?
Oh, Inside Out.
Inside Out. Nate, will you please address to the crowd where you cried in
didn't.
Inside
I
Out?
don't know. I've never seen it.
Because most people cried when Bing Bong died. That's where a lot of tears
Oh,
were.
fuck Bing
or
Bong,
at
man.
the end when she like you've never seen it?
No. I haven't seen it.
Spoiler.
Let me look. You go and tell me.
So Bing Bong,
You're making stuff up.
Okay,
Y'all
Inside
both
Out.
pull my
Inside
leg.
Out takes place in people's minds. So each character is an
Specifically
emotion.
this,
Looks lame.
like
It's
12-year-old
really
girl's
good,
mind.
dude. If you liked Onward, I think
Really?
you like it. Yeah.
Okay.
You liked Inside Out more than Onward, right?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it, but probably.
So all those characters
guess.
are different emotions,
I
and
haven't
they
watched
kind of
them
work a
sing it
control
anyway.
panel in someone's mind to like balance their emotions. And there's like the wasteland, basically, of like the people's minds and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, Bing Bong was the imaginary character or the imaginary friend of the main character. So it lives inside the mind, and so one of the emotions finds Bing Bong in her brain, and as she learns to let go and then I guess falls into the wasteland of her mind. Basically, Bing Bong dies, and
self-sacrifice
yeah, I guess it was to like
to get
propel the
happy
wagon.
out of there or whatever. The happiness emotion.
Yeah. Anyways, so
Basically, just Tinkerbell. She looks exactly like Tinkerbell.
he's got pictures up right
Yeah.
there. But anyways, my point is, most people cried at that moment. Or at the end when like the main girl like kind of reunites with her parents because like I say reunites, but like it's just like this emotional like kid who's like going through a lot and they're moving and she's not making friends, I guess, or something. I don't know. And so her emotions are just so torn, and then finally her parents and her kind of like reconcile, and like as far as I don't know. But that's not where Nate cried. Where'd
Yeah.
you cry?
Well, I feel like we're kind of getting deep into my psyche right
Yeah,
now.
it's great. I love it.
Yeah, when she like comes back, she like ran away from home and then came back. I don't know why.
It wasn't at the
Something
end.
like
It was like in the
no, in the, that was
it was in the
end.
beginning. Yeah,
No,
when
it's
she
like
ran
in
back,
the middle.
it was the weirdest point. I was like, dude, you're the strangest person I know. Like he's not super emotional, but he crosses the weirdest moments. That's what I'm saying.
I don't
or at
know,
least
dude,
that one
that
weird
was,
moment.
God, I watched that movie like what 2016.
Did you
like,
cry in
so,
Return of the
Onward?
King when they launched heads into the other person's base?
Yeah, dude,
Was
that
that really
really got
emotional
me.
for
I
you?
was like-
wow, those people had families.
They're just trying to chill. Come on, bro.
Just trying to chill.
All right, so I don't know if you guys have any other final thoughts on Lord of the Rings. I had some interesting facts. We've been going for a hot minute now, but I'm cool with it. I want to bring up some of these facts. Just I thought they were
Hit me with
interesting.
some hot facts.
Did you know that the Bilbo's Hobbit home? his Hobbit home, the floor was magnetic. So when the ring fell, it emphasized the
cool.
weight of the ring. It stuck to the floor,
Oh.
and I guess made more of a noise.
Floor? They couldn't have just
that
done the one
Maybe just a
spot?
part. I don't know. It just says in what I saw. It says that it was built to be magnetic. So
Yeah.
it might have been just in that spot, so it wouldn't bounce, and it would just show the heaviness of the ring.
That's
That
pretty
was kind of cool. Just weird production facts. Anyone else? Pass it on. Any other cool facts?
When I don't know what movie. I think it was Two Towers. When Frodo was on the boat and Sean Astin, Sam was running after him.
Same. He really didn't know how to swim.
No,
I'm kidding.
But basically, when he was running in there, he got a giant cut all across his foot, and they had to stop filming.
yikes.
And they had to helicopter him out of there.
Oh,
and get
what?
it stitched up.
That
also,
bad?
in Two Towers, when Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli realized that they're too late to save Merry and Pippin, there's just all those orc bodies that the riders burned. Aragorn kicks one of the orc helmets and he breaks his toe, and it's that take. He breaks his toe.
That's why he
kicking one.
screams.
Yeah, yeah, and they just kept it.
I love it. It's perfect.
So apparently, the main door to Helm's Deep was a real door they built, and it was so heavy and so well built that the real battering ram that was built to knock it down failed. So they built it too well.
They almost changed the course of the whole movie right there.
Dang, crappy orc technology.
I guess I had to do multiple takes. I don't know. That was
You've seen
interesting.
how they forged those swords. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know. They are kind of
They're
cool. I
all
like the
blunt.
big hook on them, though.
I made one as a kid, out of wood. You already know I did.
Also, fun, interesting fact: it was either Merry or Pippin, whoever Billy Boyd played.
Pippin, I think. Merry
When
was
the
played by
dragon firework,
Dominic Monaghan or whatever.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
when the dragon firework goes off at the beginning of the
Oh,
Fellowship,
and Fellowship, yeah.
apparently he screams, and it was real because he thought it was all going to be CGI, but they lit a real firework. They, I guess, kept the take. He's like, it was not scripted, but the take ended up in the film. Yeah. Any other interesting facts from you guys?
Oh, gosh, I brought up a lot of production stuff over the course of when we've been talking about these, so I feel like we've already kind of hit at pretty much everything that's quirky and fun about.
I don't really have anything else. I just maybe we'll dive into more because as we kind of mentioned earlier, guys, we've made a decision. We're gonna keep it going. We're doing The Hobbit next. I feel like if we're gonna do this series-based podcast, we can't just stop at the Lord of the Rings universe without finishing the Lord of the Rings universe movies.
I hope y'all never start Star Wars. You'll be doing that for a good long
We'll do
while.
Star Wars.
Yeah, we'll have to at some point. I don't know if we'll do every movie because when we were talking about doing Marvel and stuff like that, we were talking about the phases. You know what I mean? So it'll only be 3 or 4 episodes, and then we might do the same thing with Star Wars. Just talk about the
we'll
the
see.
trilogies.
We'll see. You're letting these people in deep into our meetings, huh? Aren't you?
We're not tied to that. If you want us to do that or don't want us to do that, fuck you. I don't care.
Fun fact: Frodo falls down exactly 39 times in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The fact is titled "Clumsy Little Hobbits."
Did they pay someone to watch him and count?
Yeah, really.
Oh man. Oh, also apparently another fun fact about Frodo: he made a homemade Hobbit costume and did his filmed his own audition in the woods in his own homemade Hobbit costume.
That's weird.
And he's he took cosplay to the next level. I was like, Elijah Wood created his Lord of the Rings Frodo audition tape in the woods with a homemade Hobbit costume. And he got the role.
I told Tyler when we were talking about one of the former episodes, but I didn't know if you knew this, John. Originally, they were eyeing Jake Gyllenhaal to be Frodo.
I did not see that, but I would have loved it.
And when he
Even more.
auditioned for the part, he didn't know he was supposed to use an English accent. So he just came in and did it in an American accent, and he bombed it, and they didn't choose him.
It's probably for the best.
God. I mean, I'm no huge fan of Elijah Wood, but Jake Gyllenhaal as Frodo just seems so odd. I mean, he would have been a lot younger at the time, but
It's hard to know. We've been watching this for,
yeah, I know. It's
so
just,
many times.
yeah.
Odd, of course.
It was Jake Gyllenhaal with the big permy, Hobbit hair and stuff like that.
He would have been young. I mean, I don't know.
Weird, bro. Weird.
That's it. Do you guys want to yell at me more, or
You're wrong.
have anything else to say?
You're wrong. Nah,
You're
that's
wrong.
it. Yeah, I think we agree.
I would
For
say
once.
if you haven't seen Lord of the Rings, which I'm in the very small minority, go watch it. Definitely go watch it.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
for
In case
sure.
you need to hear Tyler say that, you need to watch Lord of the Rings.
All right. Well, I guess I'm being ushered out of my own podcast. So.
Well, we've been us, you've been you. That's movies, and we're brothers. Boom.
Yep. Go follow us on That's Movies Brother on Instagram, That Movies Bro on Twitter, and we got a YouTube channel now, and hopefully we'll get some videos up on there. That'd be nice. How's that coming along, Nate?
Is
We're
that,
gonna get some
is that
videos?
like a snipe at me?
I'm
is
just
that on
looking at
me?
you while I'm talking. That's all, dude.
It feels like a snipe. Feels like a personal attack.
But yeah, and then go follow me at Tyler C. Gillette on Instagram. And thank you, John, for coming on.
course,
Would you like
it's
to
a
plug
pleasure.
yourself? Where can people find you?
Oh, sure. I have a new Instagram account.
Heck yeah, dude.
Wow.
Get him started strong.
Smoot.
I'm
Love
gonna
the
go
content.
follow him right now. But yeah, that's it. And Nate, where can they find you?
You can find me right here. Don't look me up. I don't exist. Stay out of my business.
Find him in my house underneath the table. All right, cool. That is it. And I guess we're technically not done with this whole universe. So we'll see you guys in The Hobbit.
Oh yeah, that's our out. That's our out
Every single time.
every time.
What movie it is. It's always